What makes you think you can win?
I have to win or my donors will destroy my Warhawk enterprise. And why did you have to go and call me a bird brain?
He called me DeSanctimonious for a really long time.
That's fine heels.
You're a neocon, Nikki. You simp for globalists, open borders, and illegal immigration. And
My brown people are not illegal.
That is why you are bird brain.
That's enough, Boots.
Ain't got no gun, ain't got no knife. Don't you start no fight. TNT. I'm the fight. I'm a powerhouse. Watch me enemy number one. I'm a wanted man.
Here we go, baby. Here we go, TNT. That was a really good series of memes there. We'll have more memes tonight, and we will have the energy tonight rocking forward into New Hampshire. Here we go, baby. We march on. America First is triumphant and ascendant. And do you feel that energy? Ladies and gentlemen, we will be showing you tonight the map as the poll results come a-rolling in. We got producers from coast to coast monitoring the feeds, figuring out where the news is, gonna bring you the tantalizing little nuggets from all across the evening. You know, your boy Benny's got you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we shall start by giving a breakdown of this little map. It says that Nikki Haley has won 100% of what? Nikki Haley won 100% of this little place called Dixville Notch. Has six people in it. They're allowed to vote at midnight. So that's what that is. So don't get any worries. I have a feeling these numbers are going to change very quickly and very, very fast. Less than 1% reporting. Now, the poll results will all come in at around 8 o'clock. But what does that mean? Ladies and gentlemen, before the poll results were in Iowa, they had already called it for Donald Trump. So at any time, there could be a call for Donald Trump tonight. Now, this is going to be like wildly different too, because this is no longer a crowded primary. You'll remember people were still voting for Chris Christie in Iowa. You know what I mean? Ron DeSantis is on there because Ron DeSantis made the ballot, right? He paid to be on the ballot. His lawyers got him on the ballot. Ballots were printed, and so he's on there. But Ron DeSantis is no longer running for president. So any vote for him are just, I don't know, diehards or whatever. Are there diehard Ron DeSantis supporters in the presidential election? I know there are people who like him here in Florida. I'm one of them. I like him as governor of Florida, and I'm glad he's back to doing that. That's why I moved my family here. But nonetheless, that's why you see Ron DeSantis on there, because obviously he paid to be on the ballot. But the only people running are Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. And the only reason it says 100% is, again, because that quirky little tradition in New Hampshire where Dixville Notch, the town of 6 people, gets to vote at midnight. And whatever, quirky local traditions. And so we will be, of course, going back to this map. We have our wonderful producer staff on hand, monitoring all of the news feeds and bringing you all of the news. Now, there are some very interesting little things that are happening right now. And why don't you head on over, Royce, to the, here we go. We have all of the news stations up. It's a lot of blathering, a lot of salty libs. Expect tonight a bunch of salty libs to be sobbing and crying and seething because of this. Because you can't beat this. And we've been going on about it for a while. We've been talking about it for a while. That's why there's a photo of Donald Trump in my studio. You can't beat this energy. Now, Nikki Haley today has been going around with the governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, and Nikki Haley went from, we will win New Hampshire, to, of course, Nikki Haley's going to lose today. Hey, Alex, I don't know if we have that clip loaded up, but can you please grab that? And that's because of images like this. We expect a swift Donald Trump victory tonight. We expect that will come quite quickly, but we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the polls officially close at 7, which is about a minute from now, but we won't get all the results until 8. Amazing what happens in a red state. If this were Maricopa County, we wouldn't be getting the results until March. But here we have, ladies and gentlemen, New Hampshire, a state of 1.3 million people. And it looks like all 1.3 million of those people showing up to see Donald Trump and to cheer for Donald Trump. It's going to be really hard to beat that. It's going to be really hard to beat. I mean, again, you like set aside the fact that all these people are showing up to see a Republican. They're showing up to a political event. You don't get crowds like this to go to sports, like professional sports, like NBA. There are many NBA games that are played with less people in the audience. Here are the people waiting outside in negative 20-degree weather to see Donald Trump. How are you going to beat that? What you going to do? How are you going to beat it? You're not going to beat that enthusiasm. It's a phenomenon. It is a phenomenon that cannot be replicated, ladies and gentlemen. They tried. Nikki Haley versus Donald Trump today in the exact same polling location, a place called Londonderry, New Hampshire. This is what the differences looked like. You have Donald Trump walking up to an army of supporters, and you have Nikki Haley and her minders literally screaming at the cameras, telling them to back up, back up, back up. Look at this. The differences in the campaign are massive. Now, Donald Trump made a number of appearances today in New Hampshire. You can see him with his motorcade pulling up. Not easy for Donald Trump to move around. Royce and I actually flew with Donald Trump to a rally in Ohio. It's really tough, actually, for Donald Trump to move. He has an army of Secret Service agents with him. He has his personal and Secret Service detail are just massive. But Donald Trump was making multiple stops today, and during one stop, Donald Trump did something that you haven't seen in 4 years, and it really made me miss having a real president. The resident of the White House, Joe Biden, is not allowed to talk to the press. He could never, one, draw a crowd, or two, actually hold a press conference that was outside of a scripted note card question. Yet Donald Trump held a long press conference today with the press. It went on for 7 minutes. We're going to play a part of it here just to give you sort of a shot in the arm of what it used to be like, the country we used to have. We used to have a proper country. Remember when Donald Trump used to just like wander out and take questions for like 20 straight minutes, 30 minutes? It was awesome. It like reminded you that you had a strong leader. And we haven't seen him do it in a while, right? Donald Trump's been a little busy, but he did it today, and it brought us back. And here we go.
Chris, hold for just a second. We just want to listen to the former president here for a moment.
Watching you all morning, and you're almost fair.
How are you
You're
feeling?
okay.
What are you feeling confident though? I mean, you have a big crowd here. Are you pretty confident here?
I'm very confident. I mean, this is it. Look, we just stopped here. We stopped at a polling site. We picked it at random. We may stop at one more. And nobody knew we were coming. This is pretty amazing.
Mr. President, Haley says that she's staying in through Super Tuesday.
I don't care.
Is she a threat to you?
No. And I don't care if she stays in. Let her do whatever she wants. It doesn't matter. I can just say that there's never been a movement like this. Make America great again. In the history of our country, I just stopped here and I figured I'd see 3 or 4 people and maybe walk inside. And you see a crowd like this, and this is organic.
You.
This is organic.
How are you feeling? She wanted a 2-person race.
Would you consider DeSantis yet?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that.
Would you consider DeSantis as
He endorsed me. Would I consider him?
Would you ever consider DeSantis?
I just can't comment on that.
Nikki Haley wanted it to be a 2-person race, right? I mean, she got that. Do you think it's going to go in her favor at all?
I think it hurts her, actually. I think it's going to hurt her. Probably have a big loss today, but who knows? But, you know, in the next state is Nevada, where I have 100%. Because they all pulled out when they looked at the polling. So I have 100%, a lot of delegates, big state. And then I go to South Carolina, and I'm beating her by 60 points. So I just don't know. I mean, that's up to her. I would never ask anybody to pull out. I didn't ask Ron to pull out. I didn't ask Vivek to pull out. Nobody. But we have great support, and most of the people that pulled out have already supported me. So it's actually quite nice. But I'm very honored by this. You know, we expected to come here, and who would think you'd have a crowd like this? Thank you, everybody.
President Trump. President Trump, what's your message? What's your message to the American people on the injustice that you're experiencing and the big concern that the election they try to steal it again in 2024? How can
Well,
people
we're
help
going to be
stop
watching
that?
very closely. I very much appreciate that question because it's a very important question, more important than most people would understand. We have to make sure we have honest, fair, and free elections and strong borders. If we don't have borders and elections, we don't have a country. And you see what's going on with the border. There's never been anything like it on the border. Millions and millions of people are pouring into our country illegally, and many come from prisons, they come from jails, they're terrorists. Nobody's ever seen it. They come from, by the way, I saw a report this morning, they're coming in from mental institutions all over the world. They're pouring in, and it makes sense. Why would somebody running a country where it costs so much money, why would they keep the people? They're dumping them into our country. Mental institutions, jails and prisons, they're coming into our country, and a lot of terrorists are coming in. This is really bad. I heard somebody yesterday say 100% happened to be Sean Hannity. Did you ever hear of Sean Hannity? He said 100% certain that there'll be some horrible acts, terror acts. And that's the answer. It's 100%. It's 100%. The people coming into our country, it's 100% certain. And we have to have fair elections. Thank you for that.
The northern border is a huge deal here. We talk all the time about Eagle Pass, Texas, and what's going on at the southern border. It's a huge issue here at the northern border. What are you hearing from voters?
Bad too. It's getting bad. I mean, it's getting bad. But now it's lightening up because it's so easy. They don't have to come here. It is. You have to watch both borders, and you have to watch fly-ins. You have to watch everything. But the southern border is like nobody's ever seen. But the northern border is bad too. They have done a terrible job. This is one of the worst things. I believe it's one of the worst tragedies ever to befall our country. I really do. I think it's one of the great tragedies in the history of our country, what they've done. Either they're very stupid, which I don't believe they are, or they hate our country. It's very simple. It can be nothing else. They're very stupid or they hate our country. To allow millions of people to come into our country totally unchecked, totally unvetted, it's not even believable. And it's the biggest issue now. You know, the economy was big and inflation was big. It's all big. But this, I think the border issue now is the biggest. We had the greatest border, the safest border in recorded history. In recorded history. And that was 3 years ago. Now we have the worst. The worst. I think we have the worst border anywhere in the world. I don't think any country, a third world country, never had a border like this.
For people that might not have their mind made up tonight or today going to those polls, they might be deciding between you and Nikki Haley still. What would you want to tell those voters?
Well, look, if they want a great country, if they want a country where we say, make America great again, there's nothing like it. Make America great again. That's all you have to say. We are making America great. We had this going so well. And look at the world. The world is blowing up, too. We had no wars. Russia would have never invaded Ukraine. Nothing. All of this. Israel would have never been attacked. Never. Remember this. Iran was broke. They had no money. You know why they had no money? Because I said to other countries, you can't deal with them until we make a deal. And we would have had a deal within 2 weeks after the election with Iran. Iran is spreading money all over, and look at what's happening. We're bombing the Middle East again. Now we're going back into the Middle East. We're bombing the hell out of the Middle East, and it's having no impact. You know why? Because they don't respect Biden. They don't respect him. They no longer respect our country. If you look at what Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, said, he said, bring Trump back. Everything worked when Trump was there. So I appreciate the turnout. Thank you very much, everybody.
Did your text on Haley go too far, misspelling her name, suggesting that she couldn't?
No. I don't think it goes too far. I mean, they say a lot of things that are wrong. They have the wacko governor up here who ran for president, but he didn't have the courage to say he was running. You know, you had Sununu. He was running for president for months. He was getting Asa Hutchinson-type numbers, which are very low, and then he never had the guts to say. So, they just give so much false information. It's very sad.
The other candidates that said stuff about you, like you kind of went back and forth, right, for months about Ron DeSantis. Now you're calling him DeSantis. It was DeSantis. You kind of, once it's done and they drop out and they get behind you, do you forgive those people, or are you kind of still mad?
I do. I'm a very forgiving person. Okay? I try. You're doing a good job. Thank you, everybody.
You've talked about trying to unify the party. How do you bring these Nikki Haley voters, some of whom voted for you in 2020 but say they don't want to now?
Oh, they'll all vote for me.
How do you bring them back into the tent?
They're going to all vote for me again. They're going to all vote for me again, everybody. And I'm not sure we need too many. I'm not sure. I think that Biden is the worst president in the history of this country. but we're going to all come back. They're all coming back. And I think you see that here. I think you see it. Thank you, everybody. They can all be back.
What does a win look like for you?
All right, so former President Trump there in Londonderry, New Hampshire, stopping off at a polling place, which is why covering this primary is so much fun, because you never know who is going to stop by.
Don't cut away, you bastards! Don't cut away! You love the man talk. Isn't it amazing? I mean, isn't it amazing? Can we pop up that photo, Royce, in the ALX Senate? It's just remarkable. It shows strength. It just shows virility. Here we go. Got it. I forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Look at this. Did you miss that? You missed that a little bit? Like having that at this energy. Look at the man versus the machine. Look at that. This was every day. We were spoiled for choice. This was every day. We didn't know what we had. But we know what we have now. This is Joe Biden from today. Not answering questions from reporters, random questions from reporters, but just straight up being incapable of giving the promptered speech in front of him as he bangs the podium to murder more babies at the celebration of Saint Roe v. Wade for Democrats. Check it out.
And that's, now I'd like to be able to take some questions, if I may. And I'm told that Dimitri of the Financial Times has the first question.
Thank you. And as an Irishman, I apologize for bringing the rain.
Well, holy God, I wouldn't have called on you if I'd known that. No, I'm teasing. Go ahead. Fire away, Dimitri.
President Biden.
Oh, look, see him with the note card. I'm told this and this. I didn't know that was the note card clip. This is what it looked like today.
Donald Trump, a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true and international effort to pressure. True and international effort to pressure. True and international effort to pressure.
What world do we live in? It's so good. The top clip is from, again, a Moloch worshiping ceremony that the Democrats held today. We'll cover it in full tomorrow because it was so grotesque. But they're there to worship Roe v. Wade. That's what they are. They're there to worship Roe v. Wade. They're to literally worship at the temple of baby sacrifice. And God is having a laugh with this one because this is what Joe Biden said. I'll just play the first part of the clip one more time.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
Don't mess with the women unless you want to get a benefit. What benefit will we get? Ooh, tell us. What women shall I mess with to get a benefit? Ooh, that's okay. All right, okay. We got some precincts reporting for Donald Trump. Here we go, baby. Uh-oh. Here we go. We got less than 1% reporting. But Donald Trump's put a couple points on the board, and so has Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley at 42%, and Donald Trump at 57%. We have 2,000 votes that have been cast, by the way, total. You can see here the counties on your screen. And this is, of course, the decision desk headquarters that we are using. This is the technology that effectively makes all the calls for all the news sources. So we will presumably, and this is live, we will presumably have the results before the news companies do. Right? So they base their calls on decision desk headquarters. So just a trickle, 2,600 approximately votes are in, ladies and gentlemen, for New Hampshire. I can tell you somebody who, it's a very interesting day because we are building a movement here. And there are people who are taking note. I don't feel like I can tell you who it is right now because I don't want to, I want to book them for a show. But a Democrat presidential candidate from yesteryear, from a cycle back, reached out to us and was like, hey, we love your work and we love your energy and stuff. I was like, hey, this is interesting. Like Democrats reaching out to us. And I'm okay. Like I'm okay with that as long as you understand like what this movement is about. And this movement is about uniting America around a common goal, common purpose, and for the betterment of this country first, right? And that includes a number of things. Obviously, closing our borders, not allowing the government to roll in a tyrannical way over our rights and liberties and so forth. And there are still some Democrats who really like hit the nail on the head on some major issues, right? That are very, very good for us. Anyway, why am I telling you all this? Because there's a Democrat running against Joe Biden. Joe Biden decided not to even run in New Hampshire. And there's this guy named Dean Phillips who is running in New Hampshire. He doesn't have anything nice to say about Donald Trump, but he has really bad things to say about Joe Biden. And so because Joe Biden isn't running, Dean Phillips decided to go to a Trump rally, which is kind of crazy. And Dean Phillips decided to like explain to CNN what the MAGA movement is. And it was one of the most shocking clips I've ever seen. You're going to fall out of your chair. I hope you're sitting down. Grab your armrests. You're going to fall out of your chair. I can't believe that CNN broadcast this. I cannot believe that CNN broadcast this. By the way, a few more votes trickled in. We now have 4,000 votes in the New Hampshire primary, and Donald Trump has now a 61 to 38% lead, with 1% reporting. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll keep our eye on this. This guy is a Democrat. He's a member of Congress from Minnesota, elected Democrat. He went to a MAGA rally, and he sat down on CNN, and he just effing flamed him over how great it was and how wonderful it was to see people uniting positively for the future of his country, our country. It's one of the best clips I've ever seen. It was just run like an hour ago on CNN, and our production team, ladies and gentlemen, have it for you. Please enjoy Dean Phillips on Trump supporters.
We have a crisis of participation. And I got to tell you guys, I went to a Donald Trump rally a couple nights ago. Never been to one. I had an event across the street. I saw the line of people waiting in the cold for hours. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to be a leader who actually invites people, doesn't condemn them. Met probably 50 Trump people waiting in line. Every single one of them, thoughtful, hospitable, friendly. All of them so frustrated that they feel nobody's listening to them but Donald Trump. A diverse crowd, people who had never been to a Trump event before. My party is completely delusional right now.
My party is delusional. Wow. Can you imagine? What timeline are we living in? Again, Dean Phillips is not MAGA. Dean Phillips is not going to endorse Donald Trump. But isn't it nice to see somebody just like cross the lines and say like, wow, MAGA's awesome. Just positive, diverse, young people who just love their country and want to see better for their nation. And as a Democrat who's running for president against Donald Trump, kind of, right? I was treated like a G. Well, that's like freaking wonderful, actually. It warms my heart. Dean Phillips has been furious and saved his ire for one group of people, which are the corporate media, who actually deserve the ire of us and those who are supposed to actually consume information online. Dean Phillips went on a rampage against the press, being like, you bastards don't ask questions that people care about. You have no interest in telling true stories about the powerful and in representing the powerless, the people, which is the purpose of the press. All you are toe suckers of the powerful and the elites. You fawn at them, and you are a Praetorian Guard for them. What world are we living in when Democrats say stuff like this to the press? Watch Dean Phillips snap. Man, I'd love to have this guy on my show. Like, I'd really be interested in actually talking with him. Watch Dean Phillips snap on the press and be like, you people are the problem. Huh, what?
I've said this 18,000 times. I'm only doing this to defeat Donald Trump. Nobody seems to want to do that in the Democratic Party right now other than me, because Joe Biden can't, is my proposition, because the data says he can't. No one in the country right now cares. In fact, most of the people in the country are going to the Trump rally right now because he's listening to them. No one's asking about this stuff. I'm just frustrated. I hope you understand why I'm getting tired of it. You're doing your jobs, but you're not asking the questions that Americans give a shit about.
You're not asking the questions that Americans give an S about. Ladies and gentlemen, more votes coming in, 10,000 votes right now, 54 to 44. Nikki Haley, Donald Trump. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, seeing 3% reporting now in New Hampshire. Isn't it wild? So Dean Phillips is there. Obviously, he's a Democrat. He's running for president. He doesn't want Donald Trump to be president, but he's lecturing the press. Like, why is it the MAGA movement the only movement that's organizing right now? The only movement that's real in America? We Democrats don't have a movement and we don't have a vision for the country. That's what he's saying. And then he's complimenting the MAGA movement because we do stuff like this. We do the memes at the beginning of the show. We have like a good esprit de corps. We like each other. I like you. You like me. We are a happy family. And so it's really, really incredible to see, like, from the trail itself, like how this one Democrat decided to go out and hit the bricks and talk to regular Americans. And it suddenly he became like totally red pilled or white pilled. It's amazing. There was a media report, though, that I thought was fascinating. It was the Washington Post, who walked up to a bunch of young people at a Trump rally and said, yo, why are you here? Why are you at a Trump rally? Like, young people, Donald Trump, we're told they don't mix. And man, talk about some truth bombs being launched directly into the publishing house of the Washington Post. Check this out.
Time before more of these kids become Trumpers.
Donald Trump didn't win the majority of young people in Iowa, but they are here at his rally in New Hampshire to see him.
He doesn't lie to us. He's not a polished politician, which I think is a benefit because he's not going to try and hide and lie.
I think what he's done with the country while he was in office was fantastic. Everything seemed to be running smoother. Prices for everything were much cheaper and affordable for everybody, so that kind of kept me with him.
His positions on the economy, his positions on foreign policy, on trade, he is very pro-American. He's pro-me, pro the aspirations that I have for the future. I am definitely for Trump. I have been to Haley events. I tried to go to a Ron event. Forgive me, I couldn't put up with it. It was too boring.
A huge theme beyond policy or even Donald Trump himself, the sense of community that people feel from being a part of the MAGA movement and coming to rallies like this one.
Most Trump supporters in the MAGA movement, they're really nice guys. They're very smart people. Like this guy over here, I just meet him in line randomly, and he's talking about some like proper intelligent stuff. And it's amazing when you talk to these people in line.
I've been talking with a ton of people in line today. Everyone's having a great time. So that's definitely a big thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, good for the Washington Post. Never heard me compliment the Washington Post ever, but here we go. That was a solid report. Oliver Anthony playing in the background, and the Washington Post reporter, instead of being like, bunch of violent, vicious white supremacists, she's like, people find community here. And people are happy. And I can't believe it. Like, but that's what she said. She didn't say a single derogatory thing about the MAGA movement. So, way to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I am being told by my producer that Vivek Ramaswamy is speaking on NBC News right now. So we're going to jump in here and have a listen. This is presumably
I think the voters in those primary states will say there's nothing fake about their votes. I do want to ask you, have you spoken to the former president about any type of role in the administration if he were to win the election?
We've not had any specific conversations about what my role or future is going to be. To the contrary, my focus remains on this country. The reason I entered this race is I think it was going to take an outsider who is serious about taking on the administrative state, the permanent state, the bureaucracy in the federal government, and to do so without being beholden to outside forces, financial or special influences. That's why I was in the race. That being said, the people of Iowa sent a clear message, and I do think that if it wasn't going to be me, I went all in to support the other businessman in this race who is serious about taking on the administrative state and that deep state in the federal government, and that's Donald Trump. And I think many of the issues that Trump is running on now, these go beyond traditional partisan boundaries. Growing the economy, sealing the southern border, reviving national pride in the next generation. These are not black or white issues. I think in a deeper sense, these are not even really Democrat or Republican issues. These are American issues. And so I think this America First movement that we're leading, that Donald Trump is now leading from the front, is going to be something that actually unites Americans across many stripes and boundaries. And I think that's going to be the main surprise in that second term is not only how decisive the election result is, but more importantly, how we are able to reunite this country. But that starts with first reuniting the Republican Party. And that's why I believe it would be healthy at this point, not 3 months ago, not 2 months ago, but at this point, after the first two primary states have gone and delivered a clear, decisive result, to end the primary, to focus on what the Republican Party actually accomplishes in the general election. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we have a decisive general election result, and more importantly, that we reunite this country afterwards.
Vivek Ramaswamy, we thank you for your time tonight from Trump headquarters there in New Hampshire. Uniting the party is what I'd like to talk about now with our panel. We're joined by Hogan Gidley and Sarah Matthews, who both served as White House deputy press secretaries during the Trump administration. Also with us is Rich Lowry, editor of the National Review. We thank you all for being here. Rich, I didn't see them sneak you in here, but welcome to the panel.
To surprise you.
So uniting the party. So you have Vivek now on the same page as Ronna McDaniel, essentially saying if Trump wins, this race is over. But a lot of people will point out that there's still 50% of voters who maybe want something different, Republican voters. Do you think this process should continue? Or if Trump has a decisive victory here, is it over? I'm going to start with you, Rich.
Oh, it's probably effectively over. You know, a moral victory, I don't think is enough for Nikki Haley here. It's a little bit like DeSantis. No other state was going to be as good for DeSantis. He wasn't going to get the sitting governor to endorse him, to campaign with him, the prime activist in the state, and he got 20% or 21%. She's going to do better than that in New Hampshire, but just getting close, where else is it going to be better for her? This is a relatively moderate electorate, a lot of college-educated voters. Independents play a big role. And there are other states where independents can vote in Republican primaries more than most people think, but it's hard to see where it gets better. Where's the sitting governor going to endorse her? I mean, Chris Sununu may have campaigned harder than Nikki Haley. I mean, he put it all on the line. So close isn't going to be good enough in my view. And I would expect if she loses, it'll be kind of a DeSantis rundown where you don't immediately get out because you invested some.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rich Lowry. Interesting little story. We used to work for Rich Lowry at the way back in the day. Good man. Hogan Gidley, also a good man. So we have some breaking news and some, interesting news. Although, I mean, obviously something that possibly will not come as a shock to you at all. But one of the more respected pollsters on earth, Dave Wasserman, has said, I've seen enough. Donald Trump will win the Republican presidential primary, defeating Nikki Haley. Dave Wasserman has a sort of a knack for always jumping in first and wanting to be the first guy to call a thing. He is often right. Sometimes he's wrong. But of course, he's not going to be wrong here. That being said, we have now jumped to 23,000 votes. 53% of them going to Donald Trump. You can see some of the little pecks here for Nikki Haley. The yellow is Nikki Haley. The red is Donald Trump. On the map. Pecking. Doing my best to not use bird allegories or metaphors. Come on, Ben. You can do it. Stay classy. Stay classy. All right. So staying classy, however, is something that Democrats are not doing and something that Nikki Haley hasn't done in this race. Nikki Haley has run a very bitter race against Donald Trump, ejected, actually, a person for asking her to marry him and then saying he's a Trump supporter at a rally, which we thought was just friggin' hilarious.
But you know what? We've got a lot on the line here. We really do. And you look at what's happening in this election. Yes. Are you going to vote for me? Get out of here.
Okay. I'm voting for Trump. She goes, get out of here. All right. Kind of weird. Nikki Haley's married, right? Well, I mean, if you are to read the latest headlines, apparently that doesn't matter. But Nikki Haley's married. Weird to say, when somebody says, "Can I marry you?" A married woman says, "What can you do for me?" She's like, "Will you vote for me?" Ugh, God, Awkward. This was awkward earlier today. This morning at a crowded diner, Fox News asked who's voting for Nikki Haley and who's voting for Trump.
In New Hampshire, so let's do a quick poll. Number one issue, inflation or immigration? Who thinks inflation is the number one issue? Raise your hands. Who thinks the border is the number one issue? Yeah. Okay. All right, now let's go back to the candidates. Who is going to support Nikki Haley today? Okay, you got one. And who plans on supporting Donald Trump? All right, guys.
There are dozens of us. That's Nikki Haley support. There are dozens of us. Nikki Haley supporters. 27,000 votes in now. And Donald Trump is at 53%. Nikki Haley's at 46%. And Ron DeSantis has 160 votes. Okay, so there are some diehard Ron DeSantis supporters there. Earlier today, Nikki Haley visited a polling location and nearly knocked over, had her staff like bum rush the Fox News cameras. It was really funny.
Hampshire, here is Nikki Haley at a polling location, walking in with the governor, Chris Sununu, who has been in her camp now for months and really suggesting, in mid-December it was going to be a wipeout in favor of Nikki Haley. He's since sort of moderated that thought.
He said they're now that they only ever wanted to get to a close second.
So we're going to see what it gives today. Just hanging on this for a moment, guys, because it's wondering if she's going to talk. And if she is, we'll dip into it. Meanwhile, Sean Hannity is sitting to our right. He got up early twice.
So we have Nikki Haley being a little prickly. Nikki Haley got into effectively a fist fight on Fox News this morning. Why don't we grab that clip? Nikki Haley telling Fox News to their face, I know you're not going to report this fairly. Ooh, baby. It's getting hot out there. But there's a reason why people like Republican voters and conservatives should be hot under the collar. And it's not because Nikki Haley might marry you. It is because there are a lot of Democrats who may well vote for Nikki Haley in this open primary. The way that this works is if you are a registered Democrat, ALX, please make sure that I'm right on this. If you are a registered Democrat, then you cannot vote in the Republican primary. But the vast majority of New Hampshire is independent. And that means you can vote in any primary you wish. So that's the way the process works. So you don't have to be a registered Republican to vote in the Republican primary. All right. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the old switcheroo. And exit polling is having some you may be watching the numbers coming in here and saying, wow, that's a little close. Exit polling is saying that the vast majority of people voting do not consider themselves part of the MAGA movement. And the vast majority of people voting are not Republicans. Check this out.
We asked folks coming into the polls, do you identify as a Republican? Do you identify as a Democrat? Or do you identify as an independent? And here's what we found in this exit poll so far. And I think this jumps right out at you. A minority of voters in this first wave of the exit poll in the Republican primary identify as Republicans. A majority, 53%, identify as either independents, 45%, or, and this is a high number historically, 8% identify as Democrats. For some context here, in 2016, the last competitive Republican presidential primary in New Hampshire, the electorate was 55% Republican. It was 42% independent, and it was 3% Democratic. So in this initial wave, you're seeing some significant differences from 2016.
Wait a second. So the majority of people voting are not Republicans. Hold up. That doesn't seem right. That seems like a broken system here. But this is what we have in New Hampshire. There were a ton of Democrats. We cataloged them. A ton of Democrats that were voting for Nikki Haley in Iowa. This is why Nikki Haley won a single county in Iowa, and Donald Trump didn't do a full sweep of all 99 counties. In fact, reporters that go out and talk to Nikki Haley supporters, they all say, yo, what up? We're Democrat.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump. I think it would be better to have her against Biden in the elections than it would be Trump and her.
Do you consider yourself generally independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
So when you undeclared, you voted for Nikki Haley. If it was Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in a general election, who are you voting for?
Joe Biden.
What is the...
Did you just hear it? Did you just hear it? Man, we got to load that one up so that we can like pause it and like go through exactly what that man is saying. So that guy is saying, I'm a plant. So let's go down the list. I'm a Democrat who's supporting Nikki Haley. And when Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden, when I'm able to rig the Republican primary, then I will vote for Joe Biden in the general. The dude just said it. 20-second clip gives up the whole game. Nikki Haley is a Democrat plant. I'm not saying that you should be nervous about it. I mean, you can see the live results on your screen right now. 33,000 people voting. 45% for Nikki Haley. 54% for Donald Trump. A little bit closer than you'd assume, and we have 10% reporting. So the race has not been officially called at all as of right now. Too close to call, as they would say. And so, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit unnerving that people like that man is part of this Nikki Haley vote total right here. That guy. The guy who said and answered on camera definitively, I am a Democrat, I will be voting for Joe Biden in the general, and I'm just doing this to F with Trump. That's what the dude said. CNN finding some other disturbing results in their exit polling. I'm just trying to like set the table here. I'm not telling you to be nervous or scared. I'm just trying to set the table here to say that when you see these results come in, you got to know that this system can be rigged, right? The system can be jiggered with by the crossover voters, the Democrats, and the people who are flooding the system in order to, from the Democrat side, to try to mess with Trump. Okay, and CNN is finding that out in their exit polling, much like MSNBC. MSNBC found out that the majority, 52% of people voting are not Republicans in the Republican primary. Whoa. Here's what CNN found.
Jake, one of the questions we ask is sort of, are you out there voting because you so strongly support your candidate, or are you voting because you really dislike the opponent? Among Trump voters in the New Hampshire Republican primary today, 77% tell us they're voting for Trump because they strongly favor his candidacy. This is part of that bond Trump has with his voters. 19% says they like him, but they have some reservations. Only 3% are voting for him because they dislike Nikki Haley or his opponents. Look how that contrasts with Haley supporters. The plurality of Haley supporters, 39%, are voting for her because they dislike Donald Trump. They dislike her opponent. 33% say they strongly favor her. That's why they're voting for her. 27% say they're voting for her with some reservations. And then in terms of how you're going to feel depending on who wins the nomination, well, here, Trump voters feeling if Haley wins the nomination, 75% of them are going to be dissatisfied if Haley ends up winning the nomination. That gets even larger for Haley supporters if Trump wins the nomination. 88% of Haley supporters say they will feel dissatisfied if Trump wins the nomination. That's what Donald Trump will have to work on to bring these folks in the fold if indeed he does emerge with the nomination.
Full on Manchurian candidate. Bird brain is a Manchurian candidate. We've done it again and again and again. We've played the clips again and again and again for you. Bird brain loves Hillary Clinton. She loves open borders. She loves BLM. She's fallen for every race hoax. She's backstabbed Joe Biden in his administration. We hunted this down. Bird brain was against and sent out press releases while serving Donald Trump that she was against the travel ban from terrorist hotbeds whilst in the Trump administration. So again, she is a Judas and not to be trusted. Somebody who is to be trusted. And just detailing what CNN found, CNN finding that 88% of Nikki Haley voters are going to be very dissatisfied if Donald Trump wins the nomination. Well, I hope you have your Xanax, and I hope you have your therapists on speed dial, because that is what's going to happen. And you can see, again, the updates here in the results. So now 12% reporting. We have Donald Trump at 53%, 46%, 38,000 votes have been cast. And this is what the map looks like as of right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed Nikki Haley's, is it her last stand? Well, I don't know. It's a little bit closer closer than I thought it was going to be quite honest with you, right? 17,000 to 20,000. Nikki Haley feeling the heat on Fox this morning, going after the hosts. Very peckish this morning for Nikki Hillary. Directly attacking Fox while on Fox. Okay. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
What is a strong showing? How would you label the show? What's the showing you need to go fight to South Carolina?
Well, I've been consistent. I wanted to be strong in Iowa. We started with 2%. We ended with 20%. I want to be stronger in New Hampshire. We'll know what that is when the numbers come through. I want to be stronger than that in South Carolina. It's just continuing to build.
But what do you mean by that? For example, do you want to be within, I know you want to win, but is within 5 points of the former president, is that a strong showing?
You know, at the end of the day, you guys are going to be talking about what a strong showing is or not. Now, I don't know that you'll tell the truth, but I think at the end of the day, if you look at the fact that, yes, we are down, I've got one more fella in the race. I didn't get here by luck. 13 people, and I'm down to one more person. That's by outsmarting and outworking.
Oh, don't worry about us not telling the truth. I'm just saying that, like, the numbers are the numbers. It's no more.
Yeah,
so
but
what do you think is strong?
I don't think like that. What I wait and see what the numbers are and see what they look like. I don't like to predict like that. At the end of the day, it's about the energy, it's about the momentum, and it's about if it looks like we are putting up a good challenge to Donald Trump. I think we have done that up until now.
Uh-oh. Ding, 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 ding. Hit a nerve. I don't know if you're going to tell the truth. I doubt you will, she says to Fox News, which has been a major booster of her campaign. Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Trump was just on ABC. He did a hit on ABC talking about his family, their strategy, their path forward. Big fans of Eric Trump. Love that guy. And we are going to be loading that up right now for you. It's not broadcast in a terrestrial way that we could actually pop it on screen live. And so we're getting that clip for you in just one moment. Nikki Haley was also doing an interview from the campaign trail today and also got quite prickly. Nikki Haley, I told you so, says Nikki. Yikes.
Martha, I'm running to win this race. And as much as everybody wants to talk about what I'm going to do, at some point, y'all are going to realize that I won this race, and you're going to have to accept when I say I told you so. It is slow and slow. He wins the race. I've done this the entire time. We're going to finish it. I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else. I'm running to be president. I'm not going to pull out because somebody wants to be coronated. I'm not going to pull out because they think that I shouldn't be there. The political class has never thought I should be here. In South Carolina, in Congress, at the UN, no one has ever thought I should be here. And that's exactly why I should be here, because I'm fighting for normal people, and I'll always do that.
Nobody thought I should be here, and that's why I should be here. Well, that would be something that would be kind of insane to say, given any other circumstances. Like a bank robber inside of a bank vault. Hey, coppers, nobody thought I should be here, but that's why I'm here. It's a strange stylings of Nikki Haley. This is somebody who said she tweeted, Vivek Ramaswamy, my high heels are ammunition. What? I don't get it. Okay, creepy government register with the government to use the internet lady. That's fine. Let's check in on our primary. We have 45,000 votes in, and Donald Trump maintains a 10-point lead on Nikki Haley, 24,000 to 20,000. However, I mean, closer than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure. We got 14% reporting in right now. I don't think there's any reason, of course, to fear, but you can see now that there is no early calls like in Iowa. The way that I expect this to go is that once Donald Trump wins, which is, of course, my prediction, that Donald Trump will win by like a 60-40 margin, right? And then Donald Trump's going to give a speech right after that, because then there's no other people running, right? There's no other concessions. There's no reason to like take phone calls from people like Vivek dropping out of the race, like endorsing him and things like that, right? That was what was happening last time. Last time, the delay in the Trump speech was because Vivek had to drive over, meet with Donald Trump, and they had kumbaya, right? They both ate a bunch of McDonald's together, and then Vivek dropped out and endorsed Trump. But that was actually happening, which was what led to the delay in the speech. There's not going to be that this time. Okay, here goes. And you can see there the map changing in real time. Red is Trump, yellow is Nikki Haley. And again, the 10 points are maintained by Donald Trump. 48,000 votes in, 15% now reporting, ladies and gentlemen. Time is 7:45 p.m. Now, we're supposed to have some very, very large drops for the polling places and the data around 8 o'clock. And so that's where we're going to be, watching this like a hawk at 8. A hawk would certainly not be the kind of bird that Nikki Haley would be, were she an actual manifested bird. But we do know that we have a manifestation of a brawler and a baller who just did an interview at Donald Trump's campaign headquarters, a man who is a dear friend of the show. His name is Byron Donalds. And Byron Donalds was out making his case for people to vote for Donald Trump. He's one of our favorites. We really like him. Could he be a vice presidential timber, as Donald Trump likes to say? Yeah. Yes. We've actually chatted with Byron Donalds about this. We think that Byron Donalds has other aspirations, but I guess we'll see what happens, right? But why would Byron Donalds be traveling all the way up to New Hampshire to stump for Trump? These are the questions. We'll jump into the vice presidential question in a moment. Here's Byron Donalds.
People like you that truly embody the America First agenda and President Trump.
First of all, the agenda is about our people. President Trump embodies that. He's been promoting that from day one. But it's about the American people so they can thrive, so they can succeed. So when you have somebody come along like Donald Trump and you say, who are you going to support? It's easy. Let's get behind him and let's get the job done. I think some people are in this game for titles and they want to be important. I don't care about that stuff. I came to this to fight for people, to make sure that our government does the right thing. You got to have them back in the White House because we need leadership in this country. We don't need capitulation. We don't need weak deals. We need leadership. He provided it. He showed this party how to fight on principle and how to fight, frankly, the media and put the truth out and actually get the job done. And we need to have that back in the White House.
Okay, you've spent your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have our Eric Trump. Eric Trump was just on ABC. Very interesting interview, my producer tells me. We're loading that up for you right now. Couldn't take it live, but this is live as of literally 1 minute ago. This is Elise Stefanik. This is, of course, Elise Stefanik. This is her logo and everything, saying that Donald Trump wins New Hampshire. Now, Elise Stefanik is obviously an ardent Trump supporter. Massive Trump victory in New Hampshire. Trump train isn't slowing down. But we can tell you right now that based on the actual, reporting, nobody has called New Hampshire officially. We know that's dubious in these modern times. Fox News calls Arizona for Joe Biden. Well, but nobody's voted. Who cares? We call it for Joe Biden. We watch this kind of stuff with great assault, but it's important to note that this seems, these are just people sort of putting the cart before the horse. That's all. But Elise Stefanik has declared victory for Donald Trump. David Wasserman, one of the best pollsters in the world, has said that Donald Trump will win. Here are the actual results as they stand right now. 52,000 votes. 28 for Trump, 23 for Nikki Haley. Trump maintaining a 10-point lead with 16% reporting now. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We await, again, the massive data drop at around 8 o'clock, where we'll kind of see effectively where we are. But as we have stated time and time again, this primary is over. It's done. Donald Trump will be the victor of the primary. Donald Trump will go on to win 50 states. It's never been done before. And we will see now a unified America First movement ascendant. And now comes about the most important work, no longer lighting piles of cash on fire, attacking ourselves, but now going after Joe Biden, which is so unbelievably important. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody who understands that, somebody who has a very keen mind for such things, especially financial things, is the man who runs the entire Trump organization. His name is Eric Trump. He doesn't do a lot of TV. He doesn't do a lot of hits. Don Jr. is usually the guy out there throwing sharp elbows on the trail. But Eric Trump, ladies and gentlemen, did a very rare media appearance moments ago. And we have this loaded for you on ABC News. Let's go.
Joining us now is Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump. Eric, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Big night ahead in New Hampshire. Would it be safe to say you think your father is going to win? I mean, if he does, in your mind, is it on to the general election and the primary is over?
Yeah, we have tremendous momentum. Obviously, you saw what happened in Iowa, where the largest margin of victory ever in that state was 12 points. My father won by 31 points. And, now I've been at all the polling locations, around the state today. The energy is incredible. The energy is absolutely incredible in New Hampshire. I think we're going to have a great night tonight. And I do really think it is on to the general election. I mean, at the end of the day, Nikki Haley she never filled out the paperwork in Nevada, or something happened. So she's not even part of the caucus in a couple weeks. And then you go to South Carolina, her home state. And my father's polling at 5-1 in her home state of South Carolina. And then we go to Super Tuesdays, very well, and my father's outperforming in every single one of those states. So I think her road to victory is non-existent, assuming a victory tonight. And I think at the end of the day, we have to turn our attention to Joe Biden, who's single-handedly the worst president in the history of this country.
Haley, as I imagine has said a few times now, the race is down to one fella and one lady, and that two 80-year-olds should not be running for office. On the trail this weekend, your dad appeared to confuse Haley for Nancy Pelosi. How do you explain this confusion when he said Haley was in charge of security at the Capitol on January 6th?
My father's an incredible man. He's incredible. He's bright. He's got more energy than any person I know. He runs circles, and I think you know this too, because you have teams of people around him every single day. He runs circles around the media. He runs circles around people that are third his age. He's a remarkable human being. He's got the brains. He's got the toughness to do the job. He'll do the job better than any human being. And we need somebody to do that job. We need toughness right now. We need a fighter in the Oval Office. He's a remarkable man. He's at the top of his game. And again, as a son, I'm incredibly proud of him.
Understood. But I do want to go back to that moment because, as you know, Haley is really saying that this is an issue of his mental fitness. I have parents who are now 78 and they do have some questions sometimes or confusion sometimes. And I do think that it is a legitimate point of hers to say this is a really big issue if you're confusing me with Nancy Pelosi.
Lindsay, in all fairness, my father just beat her by 31 points in Iowa. He's going to beat her again tonight. She forgot to put her name on a ballot on a caucus in Nevada. I wouldn't exactly say that was using the breadth of her brain power, to say the least. But we can stop with those games. I think this race is going to be over tonight. My father's a remarkable person. He's done great things for this country. He's the last person that needs to be doing this job. He does it because he cares about red, white, and blue. His life would be exponentially better if he was sitting at Mar-a-Lago with his grandkids, having a great time. He wants to save our nation. Our nation is a nation in decline. Everybody sees it.
Trump has spread discredited questions about Nikki Haley's eligibility to be president. She is eligible. He's mocked her birth name. Why do you think he's doing that? Why take that approach? We know she was born in South Carolina. She's eligible to run for president. So why question that criteria?
Lindsay, every one of these questions is just kind of like a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom of the bucket. And, it's we don't need to do this before. We've got 3 hours left of voting. Let the people of this country, make a decision. At the end of the day, there's two people. So far, one of them has pulled way ahead. I think he's going to pull even farther ahead tonight. But honestly, in the eve of, people voting, I just don't think there's a need to go down that, it's something that the media wants to do. They do it for ratings. They also make this
that's not really fair. That's not fair. Your dad has made this an issue. Just as recently as yesterday, he was questioning wherever she's from, which is a quote. So I understand if you don't want to talk about it, but I do think it's fair. It's not like the media is just making this stuff up. Your dad has put that out there. But that aside, I would like to ask, do you have any sense at all if he would consider Nikki Haley as a VP or Ron DeSantis potentially?
Yeah. I think that's his call to make. I wouldn't personally hope so. I saw her when she was in the administration. Every time the wind would blow a little bit to the right or the left, she'd go, running for the hills. And so, it wouldn't be my first choice to put it mildly. And I'm not sure if it would be my father's. In fact, I think he came out pretty strongly the other night and said that, that wasn't exactly in the cards. But I can tell you he'll find somebody great.
And Eric, just last question for you. Whether they're right or not, or whether the prosecution is fair or not, the persecution as it's been described, your dad does have another number of court cases that he's facing. He will have to spend a lot of this election cycle in court. Do you think as a result of that his pick for VP has more meaning potentially than prior elections, so that person can really be out on the campaign trail for them?
Well, he's always been a great multitasker, and I think he's proving it right now. And I appreciate you saying whether it's fair or not. I mean, I can tell you as a son, it's not been fair. The second he got into office, they came at him with the sham Russia investigation. You know what happened there. Impeachment 1, impeachment 2. Obviously, he won both of those. They went after Supreme Court justices. Then when he came out of office, they weaponized every radical AG and DA's office in the country to go after him, with the hopes of keeping him off the ballot. And, when that didn't work, they started removing his name in Colorado. And when that didn't work, they removed his name in Maine. And, it's so desperate, and the entire country sees through it.
Well, Eric Trump, I know it's a big night, so I greatly appreciate you spending this time with us. I know you may not like all the questions, but I do have a lot of respect for you taking each question as it came, and really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Such a classy dude, man. Such a classy dude. You may note that we've done a number of features on Trump properties, like the Trump Tower piece, and we're going to do a bunch of Trump cribs. And we work with Eric and his team on that, because Eric's in charge of those properties, and he's like such a class act. It is amazing to listen to the framing of the question. Every single question with the framing of Donald Trump shouldn't be president. Every single damn question. And you never see that with Joe Biden. You never see it. Joe Biden's out there crapping his pants on live TV. He's incapable of speaking the English language. He just said that you better not attack women because otherwise you'll see the benefit of it. Can we load up that clip again? We took it out of the studio. We didn't think we needed it again. But Joe Biden just said at an event for Roe v. Wade, better not attack women because otherwise you'll see the benefit. But you never hear questions about that. Joe Biden never gets questions about his mental capacity. No, it's all about Trump. Never got any questions about Corn Pop being a bad dude and Joe Biden getting a rusty razor blade to go kill Corn Pop because Joe Biden made a racist comment to him that he has too much pomade in his hair. It seems crazy. I mean, every time I retell the story, it seems crazy, but Joe Biden's on tape doing all of it. And then Joe Biden went out to go kill Corn Pop, young black guy from the wrong side of the tracks. This is what Joe Biden was doing. Joe Biden tells the story, okay? Don't come after me. It's Joe Biden's story. Nobody ever asked Joe Biden if that was racist or if that was wrong. Joe Biden's own vice president accuses him of being an old Jim Crow, racist KKK Democrat on the debate stage in 2020. That's how far that party has fallen. But our boy Eric Trump gets questions like this on ABC News, and good for him, standing there in the gauntlet. It's despicable, actually. It's despicable seeing all that, to be quite honest. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A check back in. 18% reporting now. The race has not been called. As you can see here, quite a few counties have yet to report. 31,000 votes, 54% to Donald Trump, 10 points ahead of Nikki Haley. Donald Trump has remained 10 points ahead of Nikki Haley with every single ballot dump. And so we expect that, I suppose, to continue through the night. There you see another ballot dump, and Donald Trump remains a plus 10, now 11-point lead on Nikki Haley. 58,000 votes in. Around 8 o'clock, we should see some really big jumps in the ballots. And then we should see a call for Donald Trump at a certain point. And then we will see a speech from Donald Trump. We have eyes on the Trump party in Concord. And of course, we will bring you Donald Trump's speech. We know that Vivek Ramaswamy is there. We know that Byron Donalds is there, and we know that some of our favorites actually are there and on the ground. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be doing our very best to ensure that a person who is depending entirely on Democrat voters to back her campaign, Democrat donors to donate to her campaign, and Democrat policies to run her campaign, along with having Democrats as inspiration, Nikki Haley, doesn't win. Donald Trump's newest member, in addition to the team, not even a week on the job, Carolyn Leavitt, is a person who ran for Congress in New Hampshire. She's from New Hampshire. She obviously is going to care a lot about the state. She is the newly minted Donald Trump campaign press secretary. She was just on Fox News saying that Nikki Haley is using Democrats to try and win New Hampshire. Eee. Not a great look.
State is Caroline Leavitt, National Press Secretary for the Trump campaign. Caroline, I don't know if you heard Congressman Norman, who's a surrogate for Nikki Haley, but he rejects this idea that Nikki Haley is a globalist, which is a criticism from conservatives of Nikki Haley compared to Donald Trump. And you say?
Well, that is the truth. Nikki Haley is an open border globalist who is bought and paid for not just by the Republican establishment, but also by Democrat donors that are fueling her campaign. Her campaign is run by Democrat staffers here on the ground in New Hampshire, and they've made a very vocal and concerted effort to have Democrat voters infiltrate today's primary. And with all due respect to the congressman, Laura, he couldn't answer your question about what Nikki Haley's pathway to victory is. That's because she's never had a practical pathway to the nomination. Never has, never will. We are 100% confident that President Trump will have a big victory here in New Hampshire tonight, just as he did in the great state of Iowa. Don't forget, Laura, this is the first state in the union that propelled President Trump to his historic epic defeat over Hillary Clinton in 2016. The voters here have a long and deep connection with President Trump, and our campaign is fueled not by Democrat operatives and donors, but by grassroots patriots across New Hampshire and across this country who believe in President Trump, love this country, love this state, and want to make America great again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a breaking news based bomb for you. Let's go. We just had to use it. We make all these little cutscenes, and we're so excited about it. Donald Trump has been officially declared the winner at exactly 30 seconds ago. Ladies and gentlemen, we checked, we refreshed, and we saw right here, Donald Trump has been declared the winner of the New Hampshire primary. Now, there is 19% reporting. Right now, 61,000 votes. Donald Trump has a 12-point lead on Nikki Haley, and Donald Trump has now been declared the winner. Ladies and gentlemen, we out ya. We are here. It is so good to see this result. It is so awesome to see it because, well, it means that this absolute charade of people, again, the abomination of lighting money on fire in a vanity project to run for president against the people's president, Donald Trump, can now potentially, finally be over. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the New Hampshire primaries, called by Decision Desk, is Donald J. Trump. Nikki Haley at 43%, Donald Trump at 55%. There we go. Was it really any wonder, ladies and gentlemen? Was it really any wonder that the guy who can draw these kind of crowds inside of a state with only 1 million people is the winner of New Hampshire? Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, marches forward. MAGA marches forward. These are the results, and expect the salty, tear-filled meltdown to happen in short order. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that now would probably be the best time to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you to those of you who kept this movement alive, who never faltered. The America First movement is something that is going to live on and survive with us and our children. It is an ideology. It is the core of the marching orders as we enter into a very dicey period of time where we see major domestic and foreign enemies who think that America is totally weakened. And there's only one way to build ourselves back up. Now, horrendous damage has been done to this nation. Can it be undone? Well, it can, actually. With hardened resolve and true leadership, it can be undone. And now is the time. You saw with a Supreme Court decision, bewildering Supreme Court decision, that there is now complete unanimity that America must be invaded by the third world, and that the country that you grew up in must become poorer and less safe and less prosperous, and must become the welfare state of the world. And that is, of course, a horrific fate for our children, for our families, for the people we love, for Native Americans, which are you and me, the people who are born here, actually, and the people that wish to die here and wish to leave this place to our children and to our children's children. And it falls upon every generation to take the charge and to say, I will preserve this place for the future. Every country must have that moment. And we are having that moment right now. And that is what you are seeing. You are seeing it in these results here. And we are seeing it, ladies and gentlemen, happening now, hopefully across the country, as we bring more people into this movement and as we crush Nikki Haley, the fake Republican, the Democrat running in order to try and harm Donald Trump, in order to destroy our movement, or to do it either from the outside or from the inside. As Nikki Haley now vies for a position inside of the Trump administration, presumably, which is going to be quite interesting. Will Nikki Haley get the vice presidency slot? Don't think so. Donald Trump's been straight up saying that as of recently, and now my producer is telling me that Donald Trump has been called by Decision Desk and now by the Associated Press, that CNN has also called Joe Biden as a write-in candidate. Joe Biden decided not to run in the primary in New Hampshire because of some fealty that he owes to the mob boss in South Carolina that got him elected, James Clyburn, the man who is literally as old as the mud that the dinosaur bones sit in. And now Joe Biden has allegedly won in a write-in in New Hampshire. Here's the reporting on
We
that.
do have a projection we can make right now. And CNN is projecting that President Biden will win as a write-in candidate in the Democratic primary in New Hampshire over multiple challengers who were on the actual ballot. Remember, this primary is not sanctioned by the Democratic Party here in Washington, D.C., and it does not count for delegates. Still, the DNC did not want Biden to lose, and he did pull off a write-in candidate victory in a primary that is not official.
So this is the results of that. I like how they've changed the colors to super girly pastels, but this is how the New Hampshire Democrat primary is being counted. The write-in candidate would be Joe Biden. And so they have declared, CNN has declared Joe Biden the winner of this write-in. No telling exactly how that is possible. But it seems like a massive mess. Dean Phillips, the guy that we've been playing you, the Democrat that went to MAGA rallies and stuff, that guy got 6,000. There were 14,000 write-ins, 25,000 total votes. Up here, 65,000 write-ins. Donald Trump declared the winner with now 12% of the vote, with a 12-point margin above Nikki Haley. And Donald Trump winning whatever this massive county is way up here in the north that borders Canada, presumably because the northern border wall is the next thing that we need to build. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a call now by the Associated Press. Here we go. The Associated Press predicts Donald Trump has won the New Hampshire primary. And there we are. AP race call. When the Associated Press calls these kind of things, then everyone gets in line like very, very quickly, actually. And so Decision Desk has done it. And now Interactive Polls, along with the AP, have all called it for Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, Fox News just called, my producer is telling me, and Donald Trump's plane has just landed. Donald Trump about to go give a victory speech. Apparently, Donald Trump will have a short ride from the airport to go give his victory speech, and we will continue to cover this race to Donald Trump's victory speech. No telling if Nikki Haley will drop out. I guess we'll see how bad it gets, right? This updates automatically, so I guess we'll see how bad this map actually gets for Nikki Haley, ladies and gentlemen. So CNN has declared Joe Biden the winner. Joe Biden ran as a potato that was one of those moldy potatoes that sat at in the bottom of the bag with all like the sprouts coming from it, and been, really sad and hard to watch. Donald Trump said recently that he thinks that Joe Biden will not make it through the primary process.
Do you think Biden will drop out?
Personally, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
So here, ladies and gentlemen, would be the plan. Many people are positing that this is probably what's going to happen. That Joe Biden gets through the primary process so that there's no such thing as a Democrat primary. Joe Biden has a health issue, has to drop out, pass it off to Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama makes then a pivot directly into that role. How that would happen, we have no idea. But these people don't follow any rules. They just really do what they want. The Supreme Court said that Joe Biden can't forgive student loan, and he just went ahead and started forgiving student loan. So yeah, I mean it's time, ladies and gentlemen. I mean it's the time that there are no rules. What are Democrats capable of? Well, I mean anything. That didn't stop them from trying to put their main political opponent back into prison. They're trying to lock up Donald Trump for over 400 years. Donald Trump would have the power to pardon himself were he to become president, would have the power to stop, of course, all of these investigations and all of these political persecutions. It would be really a fascinating constitutional question. We'll get to that in due time. Donald Trump making a declaration now, statement from President Trump's New Hampshire victory. Nikki Haley said she's running to stop the re-election of Harris Biden. Harris Biden. as though Kamala Harris is in fact running everything. Okay. Yet, without a viable path to victory, every day she stays in the race is yet another day she delivers for the Harris Biden campaign. It's time for unity. It's time to take the fight to the Democrats. And for Nikki Haley, it's time to drop out. Well, there you go. Make America Great Again, Inc., which is the super PAC for Donald Trump. So there we go, baby. There we go. There's the statement. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the official call from Fox News. Donald Trump winning the New Hampshire primary.
We have a call to make. Let's bring in Martha McCallum, anchor of The Story, and Brett Baer, anchor of Special Report.
Well, Jesse, the Fox News Decision Desk can now project that former President Donald Trump will win the New Hampshire Republican primary. This is an important win for Trump, given the role that undeclared vote.
So that is two anti-Trump anchors on Fox News having to report that. Fox News, you remember, banned Donald Trump for like 100 days when they were upset with him. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. NBC News now live calling it for Donald Trump with Nikki Haley's party in the background. But you can see here, this is live on NBC News. Or did they think they had this the whole time?
Team Trump, no, Tom. I mean, the professionals in this campaign, the folks who run it, have done this kind of thing before. They were very confident in their numbers. They were very confident that ultimately core Republican voters were going to come home from their candidate. But the candidate himself, Donald Trump, as he always does, expresses himself on social media, made very clear that he was frustrated with the numbers he was clearly seeing earlier in this evening, talking about the number of Democrats, the number of independent or unaffiliated voters participating in this process. He won New Hampshire by 20 points in 2016. And I think less so the Trump campaign, but more so the Trump candidate expected to see a similar margin in this state. I don't know that that's going to end up being the case here. And so that frustration about the margin was palpable. That frustration at Chris Sununu, the New Hampshire governor, has been palpable throughout the week. But the Trump campaign, I think, never really sweated that this would be a win here. Just sort of how much of a rhetorical advantage would they get towards their argument that the primary needs to end now was sort of the one big question that they faced over the last 36 hours or so.
Garrett, thank you for just joining our coverage. Former President Trump, the projected winner by NBC News of the New Hampshire primary. As soon as we get some reporting on when former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley or former President Trump will take the stage to speak in New Hampshire, we're going to bring that information to you live. We also have a team of reporters at the Haley event. As soon as we have new reporting, we're going to bring that to you. I want to bring in our panel back here for more. Hogan, I'm going to start with you. Do the margins matter tonight?
No. I don't think they do. Donald Trump will now be 2-0. Nikki Haley is 0-2. He will win Nevada because she's not on the ballot there. It's a caucus. And then he's ahead big in South Carolina as well. And as I said before, I don't see a world in which Nikki Haley decides to keep going and lose her home state by 35, 40 points, which is what she's on track to do right now. Yes, had it been 1%, really, really close, maybe we could be having that conversation. But this is a decisive win for someone in Donald Trump, where a GOP candidate has never won Iowa and then gone on to win New Hampshire. Not to mention the fact, I believe it's the first time in history, I think Garrett said, where the amount of independents and Democrats voted in the GOP primary outweighed the number of Republicans. It's a huge deal for him to take both of these states.
To win both and win both over 50%. And as Hogan says, he's going to win Nevada. It's not contested. And Haley will try to stay in for a while, I think, but it's not going to be a happy experience for her. The entire conservative media is going to attack her for staying in, saying this thing's over. Why are you helping Joe Biden? And if she stays through South Carolina, she's going to lose handily there as well.
Tara, I want to read from the Nikki Haley campaign memo that was put out before the voting was done in New Hampshire. It was a very effective memo, if you will. And they write, listen, we started with 2% 11 months ago, $0 in the bank. No one thought we had a shot. No one thought we could get it done. And here we are, $50 million raised, over 200 stops, and 12 fellas later, and Nikki's still standing. Will she still be standing after this loss?
I think the margins do matter. If it's a double-digit loss, then it will be difficult. Earlier, I said I thought it was a fait accompli anyway, that Donald Trump would be the nominee, and I didn't see a path for her, regardless of the results tonight, even if she did win. But at this point, I'm not surprised by the result. We'll see at the end. We only have 16% in. We'll see what the margins are at the end. But it's also a matter of whether donors still feel comfortable giving her money. We all know, we've been in campaigns long enough to know that you stay in the race as long as you have money. That's right. And so if the Koch network and other donors feel as though they can still support her, and that memo is something they think it creates a path, then she'll stay in. But to Hogan's point, she is losing by 30 to 40 points in her home state. I don't know any campaign where losing that decisively in your home state shows there's a path for you to gain momentum to move forward after that. So I think they're going to have a lot of discussion. Now, the primary isn't until February 24th. So does she stay in and still hammer Trump and think that somehow that's going to weaken him moving forward? Maybe, but I don't see why. I don't see that really being realistic for her.
If you'd been told, if any of us been told, I know if I'd been told a year ago, even 3 months ago, Nikki Haley finished at whatever it's going to be, 45% in New Hampshire, I would have been shocked. I mean, she's overperformed in this campaign, but she's just, the way she's campaigned, the way she's been branded, the way she's been attacked, she's just too far over on the non-Trump side of the party, where you can get that in a state where independents are a huge swing vote, and they're coming all in because they don't have a Democratic contest, but that's just not going to be replicated elsewhere, and she's not going to be, DeSantis couldn't get enough of the Trump vote and widen into the non-Trump vote because she had it. She has a grip on the non-Trump vote, but won't be able to get further into the party to get to a winning plurality or majority places.
We know former President Trump likes to speak late on these nights, but when he does speak, Hogan, what do you think we're going to hear from him?
I think you're going to hear a very similar message to the one you heard after Iowa. He's going to thank Nikki most likely. He will also talk about the need to unify and focus on Joe Biden as he is the enemy that he believes of this party and of this country. And I would imagine that's
Hogan, I got to interrupt you
takes.
because we do have some breaking news. It looks like Nikki Haley's about to take the stage after losing New Hampshire. Here's the former UN ambassador now.
Here we go. Here we go.
Thank you.
Is she going to drop out?
Oh, what? I love you.
Ooh.
What a great night. God is so good all the time. Thank you, New Hampshire, for the love, the kindness, the support, and a great night here tonight. Thank you so much. I want to first say thank you to my husband, who I know is watching right now. I love you. We're excited to have you. Thank you. I want to thank my kids who are here, Rita and Nayland and Josh, who have really kind of stepped up and just given me the support I need. You really pull on your family when something like this happens, and I am incredibly blessed by their support. I have my parents at home, and I will always say that the way they raised me, to know that we lived in the best country in the world, but to also know that the best way you appreciate your blessings is to give back. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I love you so much. To my siblings, to my in-laws, to everybody back at home, to Vicki for helping me take care of Mom and Dad. Thank you for that. I will tell you, it feels like it's been a lifetime, but it has been almost a year that we've been campaigning in New Hampshire, touching every hand, answering every question, being the last person to leave. And we had the most amazing thing happen is the second that we got the endorsement from Governor Chris Sununu. I mean, a true governor that doesn't stand behind a podium. He shows up at a diner. He shows up at the brewery. He loves the people of New Hampshire. He has been with me every single day at every single event. Chris, I couldn't have done it without you. And I want to thank someone who was with me on day one. He's a patriot. He's a hardcore conservative. And he is my friend, General Don Bolduc. And Sharon, thank you so much. I want to congratulate Donald Trump on his victory tonight. He earned it. And I want to acknowledge that. Now, you've all heard the chatter among the political class. They're falling all over themselves, saying this race is over. Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go. And the next one is my sweet state of South Carolina.
The next one's Nevada. What?
At one point in this campaign, there were 14 of us running, and we were at 2% in the polls. Well, I'm a fighter. And I'm scrappy. And now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump. And today we got close to half of the vote. We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up. For a lot of people, politics is way too personal. It's not personal for me. I voted for Trump twice. I was proud to serve America in his cabinet. I agree with many of his policies. I decided to run because I'm worried about the future of our country and because it's time to put the negativity and chaos behind us. We have an economy that's crushing middle-class Americans. We have a border that is totally open and dangerous, creating a disaster in our country.
Unbelievable.
We have schools that are failing too many of our children, and we have a world on fire with a war in Europe and the Middle East and a huge and growing threat from China. And then you look at Washington, D.C. We have a Congress that fights about everything and accomplishes nothing. And we have Joe Biden in the White House making one bad decision after another, when he's making any decisions at all. Our country's in a real mess. And the question is, who's going to fix it? With Donald Trump, Republicans have lost almost every competitive election. We lost the Senate. We lost the House. We lost the White House. We lost in 2018. We lost in 2020. And we lost in 2022. The worst kept secret in politics is how badly the Democrats want to run against Donald Trump. They know Trump is the only Republican in the country who Joe Biden can defeat. You can't fix the mess if you don't win an election. A Trump nomination is a Biden win and a Kamala Harris presidency.
Boo.
I defeat Biden handily. With Donald Trump, you have one bout of chaos after another. This court case, that controversy, this tweet, that senior moment. You can't fix Joe Biden's chaos with Republican chaos. The other day, Donald Trump accused me of not providing security at the Capitol on January 6th. Now, I've long called for mental competency tests for politicians over the age of 75. Trump claims he'd do better than me in one of those tests. Maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But if he thinks that, then he should have no problem standing on a debate stage with me.
She's doubling down. She's doubling down.
Most Americans do not want a rematch between Biden and Trump. The first party to retire its 80-year-old candidate is going to be the party that wins this election. And I think it should be the Republicans that win this election.
But you're a Democrat.
Our fight is not over because we have a country to save. In the next 2 months, millions of voters in over 20 states will have their say. Yes. We should honor them and allow them to vote. And guess what? In the next 2 months, Joe Biden isn't going to get any younger or any better. We'll have all the time we need to defeat Joe Biden. When we get to South Carolina, Donald Trump's going to have a harder time falsely attacking me. The great people of South Carolina know I cut their taxes. They know I signed the toughest illegal immigration bill in the country. They know we passed voter ID and tort reform and ethics reform. And they know we moved 35,000 people from welfare to work.
We've just been listening to former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley deliver her concession speech there in New Hampshire, but making it very clear she is not going anywhere.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now we actually await the winner's speech. Nikki Haley, pretty highfalutin for somebody who just lost by double digits in the race. Here we go. This is the most recent tally, almost 100,000 votes. Now we are at only 31%. 100,000 votes. Donald Trump still maintaining a 10-point lead on Nikki Haley. And just a real quick fact check here. Donald Trump does better against Joe Biden than Nikki Haley. This is the Real Clear Politics polling. The spread for Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden is just 1 point. A single point. If you tabulate all the polls together. The poll for the spread for Donald Trump is nearly 3 points. So this whole idea that I can beat Donald Trump and I will beat him. This is like the kind of fantasy delusion that Mitt Romney had. This is why they want Nikki Haley so badly. Because they'll get another Mitt Romney. They'll get another mishmash. Whipped cream candidate. They'll get a Democrat light and they'll be able to beat Democrat light with a Democrat. Nikki Haley, like, it's kind of weird that she has to consistently tell people she's a Republican. It seems a little strange that. It's almost like you're a little guilty about the fact that the vast majority of people have an unfavorable opinion of you. Do Americans have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Nikki Haley? She has an unfavorables of plus 5 points. So this idea that she's some type of like paragon of favorability and that everyone loves her is a lie. And it's worth dispelling that lie, as Donald Trump declared the winner of the New Hampshire GOP primary. That being said, a lot of people who are not members of the GOP voting in this primary, ladies and gentlemen, and Donald Trump made history tonight. Donald Trump made history as being the first person to ever win the New Hampshire primaries 3 times in a row.
I mean, clearly it is a solid win. It would also be no one has won the Republican nomination, won Iowa, won New Hampshire, and not gone on to secure the nomination. So history is on the former president's side when he looks ahead at these other states. But we have heard, as everyone has said time and time again from Governor Haley, that she doesn't believe that 2 states should decide who the nominee is going to be and that she intends to stay in this, that she intends to work hard over the next month into South Carolina. But whether or not they rethink this, given the end of the night numbers here, we'll see.
She is outperforming the polls going into this day. She is doing better across the board. How that turns out at the end of the night is the big question. The other history made tonight, Jesse, is that Donald Trump is now the only person ever to win the New Hampshire primary 3 times. So there you go.
I'm sure we'll hear him note that in the speech tonight.
Yeah.
Always likes to break records and make history.
Jesse, just one other thing that I would mention. Nikki Haley, what she's been saying all along is I was at 2% in the beginning, got to 20% in Iowa. Now you look at this number at 45. If it stays in that area, she's going to say, then I doubled what I did in Iowa. So she's going to, I would imagine, characterize this as a continued climb. And we'll see, what she has to say at the end of the night and where this goes.
And if the donors buy all of that.
Exactly.
Okay, well, as we saw over at Hemmer's board, we still have a pretty long way to go when it comes to.
So, Nikki Haley saying she's not dropping out. Nikki Haley saying she's going to take this all the way through, who knows, South Carolina. She says there's millions and millions of more voters. The next battle is South Carolina, she says. Why? That's not true. No, actually, the next one is Nevada. That's insane. You forgot to get your name on the ballot there, but anyway. So, Nikki Haley is going to march forward and is now taunting Donald Trump, saying that he'll lose to Joe Biden and saying that Donald Trump's scared to debate her. Ooh, baby, we're going to be very interested in monitoring Donald Trump's speech. Donald Trump will be speaking here momentarily at any moment. And of course, we'll cut live to that when and as it happens. I have been sent a Donald Trump meme with Nikki Haley that I am duty bound to play for you now.
Say Car Nimrod.
Yeah.
Say Car Nimrod.
Vermont plates, Alpha, God, Mustard, 1, Niner, Decade, China. Check it.
You didn't say it.
Okay, all right. Okay, we'll have occasional meme breaks here. Joining the program now, the great executive producer for our show, ALX, along with our deputy producers, Danny Deyerbina and Robbie Meyer. Robbie, how are you? ALX, how are you? Danny, what's up?
What's going on?
Danny, that's a very, very good background you got there. Very well done.
Gotta keep it based over here. Gotta keep it based.
And the sweater for the occasion.
Bravo.
I'm wearing Nikki Haley's signature sweater. We're taking it back. Nikki Haley has formed an unholy alliance with the sweater, and we will not let new tax Nikki win tonight because she didn't. She clearly lost. So we're taking it back.
So you have the Nikki Haley sweater on. That is actually the exact same sweater that Nikki Haley's been wearing to all of these events. Nikki Haley not dropping out. This is the big news. And ladies and gentlemen, what you are seeing here, of course, is our entire producer team that does the show and clips the news and is monitoring the news right now. At any moment, Donald Trump could walk on stage, and so we will cover that when he does. But Nikki Haley on stage moments ago saying, "I will not drop out. Donald Trump's afraid to debate me." Do you think that's true, ALX?
I think it's a little delusional at this point. She's like the only one left. And just what you noted too with the polls, she says that she's best suited to go against Joe Biden, and she's citing some poll from half a year ago. And you look at the Real Clear Politics average, and Trump's up over a percentage point against Joe Biden compared to Haley. And he's held that lead consistently. And that's, he had an outside of the margin of error lead in the Real Clear Politics average for the past 6 or 7 months at this point. And Haley is still clinging on to this one poll that was taken, in March of last year or something. And at this point, Trump really doesn't owe it to her to be on the same stage because, look at the numbers in every other state. This is basically, I'd compare Iowa to DeSantis. This is her Iowa. She poured all of the resources into getting those switchover votes, Democrats, independents, whatever. And you're seeing a lot of the people, the exit polls and the interviews of people essentially saying that it's a vote against Trump, whether it's, liberal Republicans or Democrats who say that they're going to vote for Biden in the general election. So, this kind of open primary type thing, and that's kind of boosting her numbers. I don't think that gives her the credibility to say Trump is afraid to face her on the stage, because that's, I think, what we're seeing here.
Robbie, your thoughts on how it shook down tonight? Possibly a little closer than some would want to admit. It's 105,000 votes in, 32% reporting. So these numbers might tighten, or Donald Trump may run away with it. I don't know New Hampshire well enough to know exactly where these regions are going to land, but Donald Trump has been declared the winner. We await Donald Trump's victory speech, but is this a little tighter than MAGA would want to? Is it a little tighter than MAGA would want to see tonight?
No, I think this is the same thing we saw last week, Benny, when we were in Iowa. Went to the caucus, and there were about 3 Nikki Haley voters in there, and they all look like Dem plants. And I think this is the same thing all over again in New Hampshire. These are Dems who are boosting Nikki's numbers. As soon as we get back to a red state like Nevada, which is next, and then South Carolina, I think you're going to see these numbers just skyrocket above 60, maybe 65% for President Trump. Benny, one thing we got to note, she started off saying thank you to everyone. She still doesn't say her husband's name.
Dude, she changed her husband's name.
She changed it, but she can't even say it on stage. Bill, Michael, she doesn't know. Yeah. She can't remember.
This is a fact. Let's grab that article. But this is a fact. I'll put it up on screen. She changed her husband's name. What? You have to be a sociopath to do that. You have to be crazy. You have to have a bird brain. The article goes like this. His given name, his Christian given birth certificate name is Bill, and she just said declared one day, "You're a Michael." What kind of person does that? Danny, would you allow that to happen to you? I don't know if you have a girlfriend, Danny, but would you allow her to change her name?
I would not, and we should start a hashtag say his name.
Yeah, Nikki Haley straight up changed her husband's name. Maybe this is why Nikki Haley's favorability is totally underwater. There is this kind of wild idea that she's this broad stroke electable person and that everyone's going to run and love her. And we've missed on that as a Republican Party for a long time, right? Like Mitt Romney was supposed to be that person. John McCain was supposed to be this guy with this broad appeal to moderates and suburban women and things. We heard that lie. Suburban women love Mitt Romney. We've heard that before. And both those guys went down in flames. Hey, Alex, do you think it'll work again?
No, not at all. I'm just like surprised that she's actually going to stay in this, after seeing the numbers. And to Robbie's point about, Nevada is going to be, it's going to be a landslide because she's not even going to be on the ballot. But what's interesting to me is it seems like Trump has better numbers in South Carolina, where she was formerly governor. And then, Trump brought the entire delegation from South Carolina on stage in New Hampshire as sort of like, an intimidation tactic against Haley because, he knows that that's her home state. And usually you'd perform better in your home state than some random state that she's recruiting Democrats from. But it's really surprising that she doesn't have, a better performance in South Carolina or expected performance there. So I think maybe it's a little more surprising that she's done kind of this well in New Hampshire. But again, if this is the only thing she has to hang her hat on in the campaign, it's not very many delegates. It's a small state. And if she can't put up a fight in her former home state, I think it's delusional at this point. So
I'm getting weird vibes from these numbers, assuming that so many people crossed party lines in order to vote for Nikki Haley, in order to scuttle Donald Trump. We know that the left has had their brains broken, and that the people who are voting for Nikki Haley are Democrat plants. We know this for a fact, and as Robbie just brought up, when we get to hard red states that don't have these kind of insane rules where anyone can vote, which is insane, because that's how you rig primaries, then I think you're going to get a different story. Danny, I want you to respond to this clip. There is a clip of a couple of Haley voters showing up in order to cast their vote for their favorite Republican candidate.
Christian, who did you vote for and why?
Yeah, so thank you. I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, particularly on our differences with climate change solution, a women's right to bodily autonomy, or incarceration rates, I think a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC in their nomination, but is also a vote towards democracy.
And Christian is emblematic of so many conversations that I've had here throughout the day. Rachel?
You know, Benny, I've seen that kid before. He has to be one of those like sweaty kids that sits into my like poli-sci classes because they're all the same. And like New Hampshire was Nikki Haley's saving grace. I mean, this was where the Democrats were going to come out in droves and vote for her. And she's not getting the results she expected. And actually, if you look at that map that we had up a second ago, you look at those population hubs, you look at Nashville, you look at Manchester, those are supposed to be where those are the population hubs. And so that's where you expected Nikki Haley to maybe have a more commanding lead. Those are blood red at the bottom. So Trump was able to close those margins. And this whole thing is a margins game. And so I'm sure the pollsters are looking at this map right now, and they're saying they're probably looking at exit poll data, and they're saying Haley's not going to be able to close those margins in the other counties. And so they're calling it for Trump pretty early on. Nikki Haley's talking about dozens more states to go. I mean, lady, come on. There's one thing I agreed with her in her speech, and it's that we have a country to save. And so if she wants to be a leader, part of being a leader is stepping up and being humble when you need to be and understanding when you don't have the mandate to lead. And right now, she clearly does not have the mandate. And if we want to save this country, we need to all coalesce around a single candidate who can actually beat Joe Biden in the general. And she's just showing time and time again she wants to be a cog in that wheel. And it kind of looks like Boeing's second asset went down mid-flight tonight in New Hampshire.
Oh, that's a good one, Danny. Boeing's second asset goes down in flames, even with like soy betas, like that guy being like, Nikki Haley doesn't support climate change, but I support Nikki Haley, not against Joe Biden, of course. This is like the fourth person that we've had in just a random interview that's like, I'm voting for Nikki Haley, and then I'm going to vote for Joe Biden in the general.
Right, and here's the other thing. Those things don't happen organically. Like, there must be some coordination happening internally at the Haley campaign with the local Democrat parties to get these people out of their homes to switch votes or switch their registration and vote in a Republican primary, because they're obviously not your typical Republican voter. And so I'm really curious to see what that coordination is, because there needs to be some kind of link between the Haley campaign and the local Democrat parties, because there's no other way that these people will just randomly come out and vote for Haley.
ALX, you don't live too far from New Hampshire. Was this result ever in doubt for you?
Yeah, so I'm actually like less than an hour from New Hampshire. It's always been sort of a weird state, just because of the low populations. So that means it's all dependent on turnout, and turnout could very well flip the result. But when I do go up there for Trump rallies and stuff, there are, and as we've seen, there are massive arenas, the SNHU arena, and many others that he can fill. So the enthusiasm for Trump, and it's kind of like this in the conservative parts of Massachusetts as well. While it might be a liberal state, the conservatives here are very conservative. So that's kind of the same feel as in New Hampshire. So I do know that a lot of Republicans are hardcore Trump in New Hampshire. So I really didn't think that he would lose this state, but obviously he had to hedge against the whatever shenanigans Haley tried to pull with the Democrats. So, but it was never really in doubt for me. No, I saw the enthusiasm there, and I've been there so the first election in 2016, like I went to 4 or 5 rallies in New Hampshire. I saw like Rudy Giuliani a couple days before the election, and then I think his last rally right before election night was actually in New Hampshire. It was like a late one, and he ended up taking the stage around like 11. So he has a special bond with New Hampshire, so I feel like it was never really in doubt.
Robbie, you're the only person on this chat who has actually worked directly for Donald Trump, working in the administration in different positions and for different great people like Ben Carson, right? Rick Perry. And so you know a little more about the intricacy of the network and people who have now been out on the trail. Obviously, Ben Carson has been, your former boss, has been stumping for Donald Trump a lot on the trail. What are your insights into how resilient MAGA is? Because it really seems to have shocked a lot of people these results. We'll play for you in a second Rachel Maddow crying on camera over these results last night. The left seems stunned that MAGA is so resilient.
I don't think it's a shock. I think you go back to that picture of who likes Nikki Haley. No one likes her. There's an open secret in D.C. with polling that no one likes her. The thing that you cannot compete with Trump on is his charisma. And then he surrounds himself with charismatic people. People like a winner. And I think what you're seeing is we're going to go into this election with a fighter. And the MAGA resiliency, I think when you look across the country, it's something that you cannot put into a poll. And I think it's difficult for people to see. And working in politics, you get blinded by the dollar signs that come at you to work for someone rather than what you know in your gut is true, which is this is a guy who's probably unbeatable. And I think that, you look at what Governor DeSantis did last week and dropping out after his second place finish. Good for him. At least he wound up with a second place finish and not a third or fourth or worse. Nikki Haley, you got your silver medal. Go home, enjoy the vacation, and go back to consulting for the military-industrial complex.
So it does seem like there is a massive disconnect with Nikki Haley and actual Republican voters. And once you exit caucuses where Democrats can vote in Republican primaries and caucuses like they did in Iowa and New Hampshire, you're going to have a big, big problem. Do you think that Nikki Haley will be able to muster any support in her home state of South Carolina, Danny?
I don't think so. I think she's clearly shown contempt for the Republican base. And so I think it's just very hard to move forward from that. Apparently she has a way of getting Democrats out of their homes to vote for her, but I think it's going to be very challenging to see her try to message to the base to have them turn out as well, because so far she's done the opposite of that.
Yeah. I will say that perhaps her fashion statements on the trail will change some of the people's opinion of her. We don't know. This is a photo from Nikki Haley at her concession speech tonight, looking upset, but apparently carrying forward. And so, carrying on. And so
we are taking back the patriotic sweater from Nimbra. This is the hill to die on.
ALX, are people in South Carolina going to show up and vote for their former governor? We hear she's very popular there.
I don't think so. And another thing I'll note too is that a lot of those donors, those big Republican donors that are anti-Trump, were kind of waiting to see what this result would be before spending their money. So I feel like a second place finish, and she didn't do her homework and get on the ballot in Nevada, and for her to bank on a state that she's not going to perform as well as here in being her home state, and having the entire delegation from South Carolina already unified behind Trump, it's, she's not going to perform well, and she's not going to get any new money, because this isn't enough to entice big mega donors to keep spending. And that was one of the issues with DeSantis too, is I feel like money was running out, and they're bleeding into the super PAC, and that was, keeping it afloat in Iowa. So that's kind of what they're going to see here. I feel like money is going to run out, and they're going to lose a lot of major donors. So I don't feel like she has anywhere else to go. South Carolina is probably going to be it for her.
When the money dries up, you're kind of done, right? And so I guess that really is the question. Now, Nikki Haley is backed by some deep pockets. She's backed by Americans for Prosperity, right? She's backed by the Club for Growth and some of the other dark money groups, the Koch brothers and so on. But at some point, you're doing more damage to yourself, right, by staying in the race. Again, Robbie, as somebody who served in the Trump administration along with Nikki Haley, what damage is Nikki doing to her potential political career here by staying in? Many people view this as a fool's errand, a vanity project, or even worse, Nikki Haley posting up, hoping something terrible happens to Trump and she can swoop in.
I don't think anyone buys the swooping in. I think originally, she was running for VP, and she let the donor talking class get into her head and say, maybe you can beat this guy. Maybe you can beat Trump. and the writing on the wall is sitting there saying she has no chance. I mean, when your own former lieutenant governor, who is now the sitting governor of South Carolina, is endorsing your opponent, you have a problem. And that's where she sits right now. She doesn't have the support in her home state. She's not going to be able to continue on. I worked on Newt Gingrich's presidential campaign back in 2012, and we had an influx of money after winning South Carolina. We couldn't make it past one more state, which at the time was Florida, because we ran out of money. She's not going to have the money coming in. She's not going to be able to sustain this. It is at this point, it's her listening to the chirping, chattering DC bubble telling her that she's America's last hope to win, when DC hasn't sat there and elected anyone worth their salt in over a decade. It's the grassroots back home. It's the people who watch the show. It's the people who decide who goes to Washington. And I'm going to do all I can to make sure that those types of people go up there and cause a ruckus.
There is, by the way, you talk about the DC bubble. There are some really funny clips out of people who live inside of that bubble, including, but not limited to, Pee Wee Herman, who cry on camera regularly when Donald Trump wins things. We have the clip of Rachel Maddow crying, announcing Donald Trump's victory once more. 2 times in a week, man. We are spoiled for choice. Well, I would love to get your reaction to this one, Danny.
So again, the big news is that NBC News has projected that the winner of the Democratic primary in New Hampshire is Joe Biden, and the winner of the Republican primary in New Hampshire is Donald Trump. What that means is that all eyes now turn to Nikki Haley. How will she react to this loss? What will the margin be, and how will she characterize the margin in terms of what it means for the prospects of her campaign going forward?
So fighting back tears is Rachel Maddow. Danny, are we going to get our sodium here in 2024? There's going to be a lot of this, isn't there?
Crying is not unlike Rachel Maddow, but I'll tell you what, she's doing wonders for the salt economy. I only hope she subscribes to the Benny Brigade, because she's letting the salt flow for sure. But my goodness, I mean, we should be prepared for 2024, what's coming our way. I will not rest easy until we have another one of those camera shots of the Javits Center, Hillary Clinton's victory party in 2016. Everyone's just losing their minds, spontaneously combusting as the camera pans around. That's what I want to see in 2024. I think the energy's there. Trump's packing arenas like no one's been able to in the past years. And I'm feeling optimistic more and more every day about what we're going to see.
A lot of people caring a lot about this VP pick. ALX, we've been following it very closely. We've been trying our hardest to do responsible reporting on it and bring everyone, bring the energy towards candidates that we think are good, and then obviously keep as much as we can do, keep Trump away from candidates that are bad. Nikki Haley, what are your thoughts as this VP race plays out? This is now, I think so much of the energy is going to pivot here now as to who's next, right?
Yep. I'm still a big fan of Vivek, and it looks like, as I said, the energy is shifting in that direction. What I'll be curious tonight is if he brings Vivek or anyone else up to the stage at the victory party in Iowa. He had an entire, ensemble of Doug Burgum was up there, Don Jr. was up there, Eric was up there, like his entire, delegation from the state in Iowa, and a couple other people, Matt Whitaker, a bunch of people were like behind him during the speech. So I'm curious if he'll do that, something similar to that, or if he'll bring, people up one by one, or if, he brings anyone up. So I think that might give an indication if he, like I said yesterday during the speech, the first person he called up was Vivek. And the only person that didn't speak that was, hyped up, before the event, before Trump got there, was Vivek. He didn't give an intro speech, but he gave a speech when Trump was on stage. So I'm curious to see what the dynamic will be at the victory speech here in Nashua. So we'll see if there's any hints given there.
Ladies and gentlemen, getting other comments from one of our other incredible, intrepid members of our team, Ashley, saying that the podium is now up for Donald Trump to speak, and there's a live shot of the podium. So once again, we will we will be going directly to that when it is live. Your thoughts, Robbie, on the vice presidential selection? The reason why this is so important. Why are you so obsessed with it, Benny? Well, because this means the future of MAGA. Like, this really does quite literally mean the future of MAGA. You've worked with and for Ben Carson very closely. Some people said maybe Ben Carson. I don't know. Maybe Ben Carson. I mean, your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, I heard a lot of in-talking from people surrounding the Carson camp that Carson is the one person who was the friend of President Trump from the start to the finish of the last presidential term. He is also the person who's called him every day since. Is he in the running? Most likely. But I'll tell you, after this week, I love Vivek as a millennial. I would love to have some young blood helping reinvigorate Washington and take it to the next generation. But I think there's something with Senator Scott. I think that the way he was brought in at the last minute, the engagement photos, I think there's a lot going on there. I think they're
We never thought he'd get married.
We never thought that happened.
No, congratulations, Senator Scott. We're so happy for you.
We never thought.
I think that's what you should be looking for tonight. How involved is Senator Scott? And because I think he was brought on specifically, and he had to be courted very hard to get up there and go against Nikki Haley. And I think that speaks a world of wealth into what the Trump administration could look like.
Okay. So we have a big split here in the audience. Today, we had a poll. Royce, can you forward that poll to me? We had a poll. Oh, actually, hold on. I think I got it right here. That we asked, what about Vivek? Vivek versus Tucker Carlson for VP. And the end results of that poll we shall display for you on the screen right now. This kind of shocked me, to be quite honest. We had nearly 9,000 votes, and Vivek was at 53%. Tucker was at 30%. Danny, does this surprise you? Obviously, there was a lot of energy for Tucker Carlson. Melania Trump's favorite is Tucker Carlson, if you were to believe the reporting.
Yeah, honestly, it's a little surprising, but I'll tell you what. I mean, after the last week, maybe not so much, because I think a lot of the reservations people had with Vivek is, they couldn't trust him because he was going against Trump. But after seeing the way he got behind Trump, fully supporting the MAGA agenda, seeing their camaraderie, seeing how Trump is actually listening to Vivek and how they work as a team together, I think people are seeing that they actually make a pretty good matchup as a ticket. And so I think ALX is right. I think that's where the energy is right now. I think people are just getting behind Vivek. They're trusting him more. They've always liked his ideas, I think. He was sort of like the Trump stand-in at the debates when you had all these Democrats yelling at each other. And so I think, I think the energy's there right now. And that picture says it all. Look at that.
Danny, I think it was you that said Trump sort of stands behind him like a proud father and calls him a dynamo, and then says that he's advising him on very important policy already. And Trump's like, thanks for talking to me about central bank digital currency.
Right. If you take a look at those clips yesterday when Vivek was rallying up the crowd, and you can just, the body language just tells you everything there. Trump is just sort of standing in the back, resolute, but then also just like smiling and looking onto him like very proudly. Whereas when like even Tim Scott was speaking, he was kind of, or when Doug Burgum was speaking specifically, he was like very not enthused. He was like falling asleep. I think a speech about Doug Burgum's shower schedules would have been more entertaining than whatever he did yesterday. But Vivek's, man, that was energy right there. I mean, he was leading the crowd into like an incantation essentially. They were like so into it, and so I think that's where the energy is.
Since you did the name drop and you talked about Vivek sort of leading the crowd, we do have a shot of Vivek at the Trump victory party. Donald Trump has not yet taken the stage. We are being told that it'll happen momentarily. But here's Vivek just moments ago making the case for Donald Trump and the case against Nikki Haley. Expect Vivek, I think, to go hard in the paint.
Are you in Nashua right now at the party?
I am, Jesse. I'm right here at the party, the after party right here. And look, I think this is a decisive win for Donald Trump. That's what we're seeing tonight. I think there's actually an interesting view of this, which is it's like a terrain for the general election. You have more independents and Democrats, it looks like, voting in this GOP primary than registered Republicans themselves. And many of the largest donors to the Democratic Party have been the largest donors to Nikki Haley, who's Donald Trump's opponent here. So I think this is a prediction of what you're going to see in the general election. And the decisive margin we see tonight is in some ways, I think, something that bodes well for Trump heading into the general election in November to reunite this country. And so in my view, the general election really begins tonight. I think the Republican primary, for all intents and purposes, is over tonight. And I think the party and the country are better off if we see that for what it is.
Is Vivek Ramaswamy calling for Nikki Haley to suspend her campaign?
Look, I do think that would be the right thing for the country, unambiguously. And also just to call a spade, Jesse, as you know, I've not been unafraid to do that in this campaign. If Nikki Haley does stay in, it will send the signal that her only path and what she's playing for is for Donald Trump being eliminated by forces outside of this process, by the judicial system, by secretaries of state in places like Maine or elsewhere. And I think that's downright wrong. I think it's wrong for the Republican Party. I think it's wrong for this country. There is no viable path for her to defeat him through the front door. And so what we're really just seeing is the very people like Reid Hoffman, who are paying for the lawsuits against Donald Trump, now becoming the largest donors or among the largest donors to Nikki Haley. It becomes obvious that the thing they're playing for is Trump to be eliminated by what I view as illegitimate means. And I think that is bad for this party, bad for this country. That's what that will mean. And so for that reason, I do think the right decision for Nikki Haley to make for the country and for the Republican Party tonight or very soon after tonight is to make this a one-person nomination for the Republican nomination and then head to a general election where we can focus, I think, Jesse, this year on delivering a 1980-style moral mandate, a Reagan-style landslide. When you have the likes of John Fetterman even recently talking about the importance of the southern border, that says that many Democrats and independents and libertarians agree with the views of this America First movement. That's why I took myself out of the race to endorse Donald Trump. I think the other Republicans have done the right thing. It's time for Nikki Haley to do the right thing as well and focus on a landslide this November that, dare I say, will reunite this country, and that's why I'm in this.
All right, Vivek, thank you so much. Enjoy the party.
We've seen something quite shocking in this Vivek Trump moment, in that young people are really being attracted to the MAGA movement in numbers we haven't seen, I think, in a very long time. Some polling, boys, shows Donald Trump winning the 18 to 35 vote. That's wild. Does that stand up? Like, do you see the sprinklings of that, Danny? Danny, of course, goes to school in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. And so the thing about Trump specifically that's so special about him is that he's a very cultural figure. And so no matter where you go, like the conversation somehow always ends up being about Donald Trump because he does sort of insert himself into culture. He knows how to play it well. It's one of his strengths, actually. And so on campus, obviously, a lot of conversations turn into very cultural things. And Trump right now is at the center because he's facing lawfare and he's also engaging it in a very approachable manner. He's being very transparent about it. And so, especially when you look at independent creators, right? So for a long time, the media was controlled by these corporate entities who sort of decided what the talking points were going to be. But now, especially young people are turning to independent creators who are not beholden to these corporate entities. And so a lot of them are actually a lot more supportive of Trump's ideas and Republican and conservative ideas. And so they're getting a fresh take that maybe generations past of young people weren't getting. And so you're seeing it on campus. People are, I think, swinging conservative right now.
I think that's a wild, I mean, that's an absolutely wild thing to say. That, I mean, like something I didn't think I'd be saying 4 years ago was that Donald Trump's going to win the youth vote. But every single day you see data points out there saying that young people's lives just suck, especially Gen Z. ALX, you're a member of that generation. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm seeing the same kind of thing among my peers as well. While I'm not in school, but I, go out with friends and stuff. And even like some of the people that were anti-Trump that I've talked to last election are kind of, especially on the whole cultural issues, like with trans issues and all of that, they kind of are like walking away from that and saying, okay, that's not like what I signed up for. And even Biden, I think, doesn't even agree with that kind of stuff. He's just being pushed by the rest of the party. and he's just kind of following along with that. So I feel like issues like that are really pulling people who are moderates away from what they thought was their party. And I know, like, younger people don't really pay attention to politics until it affects them. So like when they're seeing like the entire country like at war or whatever, and then they're like basically saying, I have to work like 9 to 5 or whatever, and I can barely, pay for what I want. And the government has all of this money to ship overseas and they have to pay their own bills. Then they look at how much is being taken out in taxes. They're kind of saying, okay, I kind of don't agree with raising taxes anymore. So when it really hits them and affects them, they kind of realize that they don't really support what they thought they did. And that's part of the case too, to have Vivek on the ticket is, I think Glenn Beck made this point that he could help appeal to more younger voters and help boost that demographic for Trump. So I think that might be a strategic choice for that avenue as well.
Do you think, Robbie, that like Nikki Haley is doing irreparable damage to her political career by staying in this race? That speech, I mean, like, as I'm looking through the headlines here, Haley vows to stay in race, right? Haley will stay in race. Here's Fox News. This is MSNBC. Same thing, same thing. Haley's a part of every single conversation. And it seems like there's kind of like this, desire, this demand to have her stay in just to, I guess, hope against hope for something to happen. But as Haley remains in the race, I think she's going to solidify the criticisms against her, right?
I think you look at it and you go to these pictures that they have right now coming out of the post, speech environment right there in her campaign headquarters, and they are empty. She spoke less than an hour ago. There's no enthusiasm. She is falling flat. Her own voters who support her and showed up in freezing cold weather to go see her speak tonight aren't staying to hear her out. So when you look at her future, you're not going to have people show up for her in the future if she can't turn out her own voters who say they support her to stay in a room for an hour with free booze. Now, maybe they can't afford the free booze, so that's why they left. But I don't know for sure.
This is what Robbie's talking about. A clip that we're ping pong balling around internally right now. Nikki Haley having an empty room. That packed audience with all those degenerates or belligerents screaming at Nikki Haley. This is what the room looks like now.
In the Haley campaign, she's in Concord, New Hampshire. Boy, closing time where you are, Kylie. No, the campaign party is over, I suppose.
Well, yeah, the room's quieting down. It was pretty loud earlier.
You can see here the other
It's like
It's closing time.
Okay.
The Trump party went on well past midnight in Iowa, I will say. So everyone was there well past midnight there. So
yeah, Alex, you were there, and people were rocking, right?
Yep. Well past after Trump spoke. We basically had to get not kicked out, but like they were like taking down the tables and like, all right, we got to like clean up and ushered out. So we kind of had to get ushered out for people to start leaving. So we were having a grand time with Matt Gaetz talking about good old days. So
well, the good old days.
Let's be honest though. This is exactly how I would see a Nikki Haley party playing out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's the energy. No booze Nimbra at her party.
She can't sell the lie to her own people. That's how you know there's something wrong here. She can't sell the lie.
No. Well, they have to get some sleep and vote in the Democrat primary sometime. They're getting prepped.
These clips are so damaging of these guys being like, yo, I like Joe Biden, but I want to mess with Trump, so I'm voting for Nikki Haley. They're not even ashamed of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like people kind of said that was a conspiracy theory. I don't know who it was. I just saw a clip on my feed. It was someone on MSNBC saying that Trump is spreading a conspiracy theory that Democrats can vote in the primary. They're using that, stupid, like they're trying to be too literal with it. Okay, if somebody straight up says they're voting for Nikki Haley and they won't vote for Nikki Haley in the general election, and they're voting for Joe Biden, I called that a Democrat, okay?
Yes.
It doesn't matter if they're registered independent or whatever. If you're voting for someone to weaken the opponent and you're going to vote for a Democrat in the general election, it's fair to say that they're Democrats, okay? So they're trying to be rhetorical with it and saying, well, they're registered independents, but, it's just a farce, so.
They say they're Democrats. They're the ones who say they're Democrats. This 20-second clip is going, and now I'm seeing this everywhere. I'm not exactly sure if we're the ones who clipped this first. I wouldn't be surprised. This is the best production team on the planet, live on your screen right now. But I'm now seeing this everywhere, on every feed. This guy being like, I'm a Democrat. I love Joe Biden. I voted for Nikki Haley.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump. I think it would be better to have her against Biden in the elections than it would be Trump and her.
Do you consider yourself generally independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
So when you undeclared, you voted for Nikki Haley. If it was Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in a general election, who are you voting for?
Joe Biden.
What is the...
Yeah, there it is.
I think it would be
Conspiracy theory.
better to have higher taxes. And just the upward inflection going on for like 20 minutes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
he is the Wojak meme. He is the government harder meme.
Yeah, the guy who's yelling with like the scraggly facial hair.
Yeah.
Crying, salty tears pouring down his face. Haley vows to stay in race is what CNN is going with. So CNN is going with the Haley angle. There's something going on here, man. Something going on with Nikki Haley. She has there's like a hubris there, as though like she knows either something bad is going to happen, or that she knows she has like so many Democrat backers that she can just stay in the race. I don't know what it is, but that speech shocked me. The speech shocked me. Not only that, she went hard after Donald Trump. She was like going really hard at now there is literally no data-driven path to the nomination for Nikki Haley, yet she's like insulting Trump, talking about his age, talking about how he's scared of her, talking about how he lose to Joe Biden. Like, that's doing damage to the Republican nominee. I don't know how you see her as anything other than a Democratic plan at this point.
Well, she's a fighter and she's scrappy.
For the wrong side, though. But I'm surprised because she congratulated Trump off the top. I thought she was going to take a different tone with the speech. And then it went downhill. She started calling him senile and blah, blah, blah. And, she had her one, yes man in the audience screaming like after every word, whatever he was screaming.
Another Democrat plant.
Yeah, exactly.
He was screaming, "Don't change my name."
Yeah.
He was screaming, "Please don't change my name before I register to use the internet."
Probably the same guy that asked to marry her the other night.
Fox News is leading with Trump again. Trump again. This is the Fox News headline here. MSNBC is just like crying into their keyboards. And the top line article here is why Haley didn't mention Nevada. Well, because she's not going to be on the campaign in Nevada. So, right? So she won't be on the ballot, I believe. Right?
Yeah, and that's why she's ignoring it. And again, it's super weird that she's going straight to South Carolina, where you'd think that she would be, more competitive than New Hampshire, and it seems like she's going to get the floor wiped with her. So, interesting strategy.
Yeah. So it says here, Nevada Republican primary where ballots will include Haley. Some of the other candidates dropped out, like former Vice President Mike Pence, but not Trump. 2 days later, we'll see the Nevada Republican caucus, where caucus goers can choose between Trump and Pastor Ryan Binkley. Confused, you're not alone. The upshot is that Trump will almost certainly come away with Nevada's 26 delegates. So Nevada turning out to not be a competition at all, unless there's Binkley Mentum. Trump tops Haley in New Hampshire primary. So again, they're gonna make it about Haley. I'm not sure exactly how long she'll be able to continue the charade, but it is nice to see guys like Vivek really taking the punditry path. Like we were talking about Vivek and how he's impressed all of us this week, and he's like been on TV like nonstop from Trump's headquarters. He's like the #1 booking from Trump HQ. We've been monitoring this, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. What a hell of a surrogate to have on your campaign trail right now. At every state, he can like get in front of any camera, any reporter, and just deliver a message super clearly, super succinctly, and even challenge the narratives that reporters often bring to their questions. So he's doing a phenomenal job, and I think it shows that they make a really good team.
It really does. And I think he's beloved. We had some photos from earlier today of him going around to campaign events, and the guy's just beloved. Like, here we go. This is tweeted out by Team Trump. This is the official Donald Trump X account for the Trump campaign, and it's Vivek, doing the campaign trail and being kind of treated like a celebrity, right? Oh, here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump live, walking out. He has walked out on stage.
Tim Scott.
There's Tim Scott and Vivek. Oh, no.
The duel.
Vivek's closer.
Tim Scott and Vivek walking out with Trump. Crazy. And now Trump's welcoming them over. And so come on down, boys.
Looks like he'll have the family behind him.
Eric,
in Iowa.
Laura, Trump, Eric's wife, obviously. I'm almost 100% positive. Is that Scavino?
We got Scavino. Yeah, Scavino was on stage in Iowa too.
Okay.
Jason Miller, Stephen Chung.
There we go. The band is back together. Ladies and gentlemen.
Avengers.
Yeah, the MAGA Avengers, which is what they have now been termed. I wish they would have had this inside of the stadium with that massive.
I know. SNHU Arena would have been cool.
These are so funny because you cannot even get like the press risers high enough to see over the cameras, the cell phones.
Yep.
For this stuff. There's Trump huddling with Vivek and Scott. Isn't that interesting? He wanted that photo. Trump wanted that photo.
Intentional.
My boy wanted that photo. He went and gave him a hug. All right. As soon as Trump starts speaking, we bring him in. They play, obviously, the song and the music, and there's a lot of applauding and cheering, and Trump obviously commands the stage and allows for the Lee Greenwood song to play out, and then takes his podium. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to interrupt you now because he is at the microphone. The former president of the United States, Donald Trump, the projected winner of the New Hampshire Republican primary.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This is a fantastic state. This is a great, great state. You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now. Three. We win it every time. We win the primary. We win the generals. We've won it, and it's a very, very special place to me. It's very important. If you remember, in 2016, we came here and we needed that win, and we won by 21 points, and it was great. And today, I have to tell you, it was very interesting because I said, wow, what a great victory. But then somebody ran up to the stage all dressed up nicely when it was at 7. But now I just walked up and it's at 14. But she ran up when it was 7. And
Introducing
What
the law.
is going on? Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, hold up. We got it. Back at it.
Let's see if it gets Vivek's name right. There we go.
Last week we had a little bit of a problem, and if you remember, Ron was very upset because she ran up and she pretended she won Iowa. And I looked around, I said, didn't she come in third? Yeah, she came in third. And then I looked at the polls. She was talking about most winnability, who's going to win, and I had one put up. I don't know if you see it, but I have one put up. We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden, almost every poll. And she doesn't win those polls. And she doesn't win those. This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. She had a very bad night. And you have the now very unpopular governor of this state. This guy, he's got to be on something. I've never seen anybody with energy. He's like hopscotch. And, I'm watching this guy, and 2 weeks ago I said, we're going to win in the landslide. We're going to win. About 3 days ago I started saying, well, we want to do well. That's a big difference. But I walked out just now, we're 14 points up, and I don't know what it's going to be. But when she was up here, it was like 6 or 7. And, with like 7% of the vote counted. Now, let me just tell you, we had an unbelievable week last week in Iowa. We set a record. It was the best in the history of the caucus, in the history. And I remember I sort of had the same feeling. I'm up and I'm watching, and I said, she's taking a victory lap. And we beat her so badly. But Ron beat her also. Ron came in second and he left. She came in third and she's still hanging around. The other thing, she only got 25% of the Republican votes. I don't know if you saw that. Tremendous numbers of independents came out because in this state, because you have a governor that doesn't frankly know what the hell he's doing in this state, in the Republican primary, they accept Democrats to vote. In fact, I think they had 4,000 Democrats before October 6th. They already voted. Now, they're only voting because they want to make me look as bad as possible. Because if you remember, we won in 2016. And if you really remember, and if you want to play it straight, we also won in 2020 by more. And we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. But as they said, we lost by a whisker, just by a whisker. No. But we can't let that happen. You have to have people that speak up. I said, I can go up and I can say to everybody, oh, thank you for the victory. It's wonderful. Or I can go up and say, who the hell was the imposter that went up on the stage before and claimed a victory? She did very poorly, actually. She had to win. The governor said, she's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win. Then she failed badly. Now I have here, if he promises to do it in a minute or less, but the only person more angry than, let's say me, but I don't get too angry, I get even. The only person... because he was there, and he did fantastically well, by the way, and then he endorsed me. And we don't have to talk about Tim Scott, who, by the way, just got engaged, we have to tell you. And that's more important than all of this stuff. But a man that got to know her very well is Vivek. I said, Vivek. I said, Vivek.
Oh, man.
Go up and say a few words about it. He has to do it in 1 minute or less. And then we're going to just say, we had one hell of a night tonight. And one other thing before Vivek comes. Do you see that poll? We're going to put it up. We have beaten Biden. You could almost say, who can't? Who the hell can't? The man can't put two sentences together. He can't find the stairs off a stage. Who can't? But Vivek, 1 minute or less. Go do it, Vivek.
Listen to him go.
He didn't even try to say Ramaswamy this time.
Is America first defeating America last. That's what we saw tonight. If you want America last, you can go to Joe Biden. You got another candidate still apparently in the Republican primary. Cut your Social Security to fork over more money to Ukraine so some kleptocrat can buy a bigger house. Go to Nikki Haley. But you know who delivered a double-digit victory tonight? It is a double-digit victory as of right now. Is this man, Donald J. Trump, the leader of America First. And that means something. Now, USA and Donald Trump, America First. Now, I got 30 seconds left. I want to make this point here, okay? We got to say this. We got to say this right. What we see right now with her continuing in this race is the ugly underbelly of American politics, where the mega donors are trying to do one thing when we, the people, say another. And it's up to us, to we, the people, to at long last say, hell no. We, the people, create a government that is accountable to us. And we, the people, have said tonight, we want, again, as we did in Iowa, Donald J. Trump. And so you want to actually speak truth. That's the truth tonight. And the only thing they're rooting for is an ugly thing that we don't want to see happen. That's what these people are rooting for, is playing to say long enough so the Reid Hoffmans and the ugly Democratic George Soros Jr.'s who are funding the lawsuits against Trump can prop up their puppet. We say no to that vision. I say the general election begins tonight, and this man will win it in a landslide. God bless you, Donald J. Trump. Vote Trump USA.
Just clapped him up.
Very nice. Wasn't that nice? So, this
Dynamo.
is a good evening, and I want to thank everybody in the audience, and I want to thank the people that are standing behind me. You know, I think we called it right. Immigration's a big deal, a very big deal. We have millions and millions of people flowing into our country illegally. We have no idea who the hell they are. They come from prisons and they come from mental institutions, and it's just killing our country. And I'm talking about millions and millions and millions. They are drug dealers. They're everybody. And they come in just like walking right through. There's nobody to check and there's nobody to vet. And we have a man with us tonight, Tom Homan, who is central casting. He's central casting. And I'd like you to say a few words about
remarks of the victor here in New Hampshire.
Whoa. Come on, boys.
At his watch party in Nashville.
Come on, boys.
If you listen
Incorrect. Let's go. Royce has got it, baby. Our apologies. Never in our wildest dreams could we have imagined. But here we go.
Corporate media.
I worked for 6 presidents around Reagan, and every president I ever worked for did something to secure the border. But no one did more than President Trump. The most secure border in my lifetime.
The data proves that.
The most secure border we've ever seen. And Donald Trump's going to do it again. We're going to lock the border down, and we're going to protect Americans. Because what's happening at the border right now, a record number of Americans have died from fentanyl poisoning. Record number of migrants have died. A record number of women and children have been sex trafficked. A record number of known suspected terrorists across the border. There's one man who's proven he can secure the border, and he's standing to my left, Donald J. Trump. He's going to do it again.
Thank you very much, John. So this is an evening that I will not forget because it's the 3rd time, but more importantly, I think it's going to be the most important time. We won both. I think somebody said you rarely, if you win both, they've never had a loser. Let me put it that way. When you win Iowa and you win New Hampshire, they've never had a loss. There's never been. So we're not going to be the first, I can tell you. And I just do want to reiterate the polls. We're way up on everybody. We're way up on Biden over the last couple of months, if you check. And you have to remember, in 2016, they were saying, oh, what does he know about elections? He's not going to win. He can't win. Well, we won. And we got millions, and you can check this, and I hope the cameras don't turn off because they hate this, but we got millions and millions of more votes the second time. Right, Mr. Congressman? Millions and millions of more votes. And but we had COVID, and they used COVID to cheat, and they did a lot of other things too. We're not going to let that happen, and that's still going along. We don't forget. You can never forget history, because if you forget, you never recover from it, and you repeat, and we're not going to repeat. We're going to have the greatest election success. We're going to turn our country around. If you take a look throughout the history of our country, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of this not great country right now, it's a country in decline. It's a troubled country. It's a failing country, frankly. But if you took the 10 worst presidents and put them together, the 10 worst, absolutely 10 worst. I used to say 5. Remember, I'd say 5. Then I said, wait a minute, we can add another 5. They would not have done the damage that crooked Joe Biden has done to our wonderful country. They would not have done the damage. There's never been anything like it. And you say, are they stupid people? I don't think so, because nobody can cheat that well if they're stupid. Do they hate our country? They must hate our country, because there's no other reason that they can be doing the things they do. Take a look. The taxes, they want to raise your taxes times 4. They want to let the Trump tax cuts, the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, they want them to expire. Your taxes are going to go through the roof. You take a look at regulations. They're throwing regulations. You can't breathe. You can't even breathe with what they're doing. You take a look at our border. So bad. There's never been a border like this in the world. 4 years ago, we had the safest, best border in the United States. I built hundreds of miles of border wall. And they always say, oh, he didn't build hundreds of miles, because if there's a board laying on the ground, they say that's a renovation. They call it a renovation. If there's 2 nails laying from 50 years ago, they say, oh, that was a renovation. These are very dishonest people, and you're always fighting them. And just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already. Not big reasons, a little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about, but she will be under investigation within minutes. And so would Ron have been, but he decided to get out. He decided to get out. Now, Vivek, I don't think would be at all, because he's perfect, right?
Jeez, oh my God.
Tim Scott, I know would never, that's no chance. Hey, Tim, do you want to say something? Come on, I want him to say something.
Look. New Hampshire. The president said a double-digit win in New Hampshire, and you delivered a double-digit win for President Trump. But I'm going to invite you to my home state starting tomorrow, where this election is over. It is time for the Republican Party to coalesce around our nominee and the next president of the United States, Donald Trump. Let's get that party started tonight.
What a good man. What a good man he is. But just remember, I did hear Nikki say, and now it's off to South Carolina. Well, I love South Carolina. I love it. But, she forgot one thing. Next week, it's Nevada. It's not South Carolina. We love South Carolina, but next week it's Nevada. And I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada. We just won 100%. Because
we do a little trolling.
They looked at it, and they took polls, and I was polling at 95% to 4 or 5%. And they decided not to play in Nevada. So we just won Nevada. We have a man from Nevada here, Steve Wynn, wherever he may be. And John Paulson, the great John Paulson, made plenty of money in Nevada. Doesn't live there, but he makes a hell of a lot of money. He makes money everywhere he goes, actually. So money machine. Maybe we'll put you, you know what? Put him at Treasury. You want to make a little money? Let's put you. Anyways, good to have you guys. But we go to Nevada, and that's been won. So we pick up all of those delegates. And then we do go to South Carolina, where we've done really well, where I've done well. We have a great governor and lieutenant governor and great everything, because almost every one of them have endorsed me. 2 great senators, which is hard. I mean, did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of his state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician. That's why he's a great politician.
We never thought he'd be married.
So this is a great evening, and it is, we are going to Nevada for a little while. We're not going to have to do too much. We have a great team there, but it's a team that we can now send someplace else. They did a fantastic job, but and it's a fantastic place, really a fantastic place. But we'll be leaving there very quickly. We'll head out to South Carolina, where I think we're going to win easily. I think we're 50 points up, 5-0. 5-0, 50 points up on a person that was governor. That tells you something. But I felt I should do this because I find in life you can't let people get away with bullshit, okay? You can't. You just can't do that. And when I watched her in the fancy dress that probably wasn't so fancy come up, I said, what's she doing? We won. And she did the same thing last week, but he was much more angry about it than I was. I said, get up there and you let him know. We are going to win this. We have no choice. If we don't win, I think our country is finished. I do. I believe our country is finished. We have an opportunity to do something so amazing. And the good news and the reason we have such support, the best numbers I've ever had, the reason we have support is because they are so bad at what they're doing and so evil, and they're destroying our country. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank this group of people. We will never forget you. We will never forget. And I made a pledge. I made a pledge to your state that you have the highest energy costs in the country. In the first year, they're going to be reduced by 50% because we are going to drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Inflation's going to come way down, but in the first year, your energy costs are going down by 50%. Thank you very much. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the trail. And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. We will see you on the trail. Thanks.
We just watched a live Apprentice audition for Donald Trump's VP.
Telling you, man. Telling you, man.
That's what it was. I don't love her. I love you.
I'm telling you, man. He opens with Vivek is going to say a few words. Say a few words, Vivek. Oh, I love Vivek. He's great. All of that. Oh,
he's perfect.
Tim Scott, do you want to?
Said he's perfect.
He's perfect. Wait, Tim Scott, you can speak if you want. That is not your. I'm picking you as my VP. That's
He was the afterthought.
Maybe you can speak, but I don't know, man. Vivek is getting the treatment. I'm telling it.
Vivek is getting the treatment, man. Holy moly! I mean, Nikki Haley got the business, right? Trump was like gloves off now. You can see here Donald Trump now working the crowd at the event. Am I right? Donald Trump going and signing autographs, taking photos up front.
Yep.
Am I correct in that?
I think he just walked backstage. Yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that was a crowd for Vivek. I like. Here's the reason why Donald Trump is so pissed. Donald Trump probably looked at this headline before going out on stage. This is the headline because this is what he referenced. The first thing that he referenced was this. He's a loser, Nikki Haley says, as crowd goes wild as she hammers Trump for election losses mental capacity. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. I think we're going to see something far worse than the attacks on DeSantis or some of the other, attacks with Chris Christie where Trump really didn't have to do much. I think this is going to get kind of ugly.
I mean, what she signaled with that speech is that she almost has contempt for the base and people who voted for Trump. And that's no way to win a primary, especially. So I don't know what strategy she has going forward. But I'll tell you what, people who have voted for Trump and plan to vote for him aren't convinced by this sort of messaging. So I just don't see it.
ALX seems like you're super in touch with the base. Obviously, you've had very long 7-hour dinners with Donald Trump. For instance, you're in touch with Trump's team. Doesn't seem like a great idea to say this about your former boss. Like, he's a loser. He doesn't have the mental capacity. He'll lose. Like, yikes. That's going to start a war.
Her burning this is her burning a bridge. I mean, there's some grace for some people that, for example, DeSantis. There was a lot of people who didn't think that, Trump would be forgiving of DeSantis. But the thing is, he stayed in for one state, kind of faced reality, and did the respectable thing and endorsed Trump. Haley is now going to stay in after multiple states, and has no real clear path for victory, and she's just going to go out and basically be a Democrat and say, oh, he's racist, he's sexist, he's homophobic, blah blah blah, he's this, he's that, and now they're playing the he's mentally deficient card. So this seems like she's going to burn a bridge. I don't think that toxic attitude has any place in the next administration. So I don't think she'll be brought back into the fold. There's a point of no return. Obviously, Trump is very gracious, but as he learned in the first term that he had, he has to be careful on who he trusts. And I just don't see someone who's spewing this at this point being brought into the fold, even when she steps out.
I do think that now it's going to get very toxic and very poisonous. Nikki Haley, I think, held back on going directly at Trump. If I was reading sort of the last 9 to 10 months of the primary, she didn't go as super hard in the paint, and now she's going directly at Donald Trump. And I don't know, man. In the words of Chuck Schumer, you may reap the whirlwind. This is a guy who announces he's already won states after winning a state. This is a guy who announces, I am now the winner of other states in a state that he's just won. That's not that state. What am I talking about? This moment that's making a lot of headlines.
Energy costs are going down by 50%.
They're rooting for is an ugly thing that we.
Next week, it's Nevada. Next week, it's Nevada. It's not South Carolina. We love South Carolina, but next week, it's Nevada. And I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada. We just won.
Okay, Madman. Sorry if that clip had a glitch in it. Madman. I'm pleased to announce we've just won Nevada, he says, after winning New Hampshire in New Hampshire. So we talked about that, and we read the article about it. Donald Trump will win Nevada. I'm not sure he's even gonna go out there. Hey, Alex, do you know?
I'm not sure if he will. I feel like he will, though, just out of respect. I mean, he has the hotel there, so that would be a natural, home base for him there. So I feel like he will go there. I'm not sure if he has anything on his schedule, but I feel like it will be more of a victory lap, saying, "Hey, I didn't abandon you guys like Nikki Haley, my opponent." And who's the other one on the ballot? It's Binkley or whatever. So I feel like
Binkley.
Yeah, he'll go to draw the contrast of just to rub it in her face that he's on the ballot and she isn't, and he's basically going to make the point that I don't even have to be here and I'm here. So I feel like he will go.
Right. So Trump has a rally on Saturday in Las Vegas.
Got it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So we saw, though, what I found the most interesting is, one, Donald Trump announcing his victory in Nevada. Two, Donald Trump being like, you call me a loser? No, I'm the one who calls people losers to Nikki Haley. That's number two. The number one most interesting thing was Vivek Ramaswamy and Tim Scott together on stage. Both people rumored to be on the Trump VP list, and both of them doing quite a bit of a song and dance with Donald Trump, like multiple interactions, jumping up and grabbing the microphone. What do you make of this, Robbie?
I think, like you said, it's the Princess in real life. This is everything Trump wants. This is the theater that got him elected the first time. It's the palace intrigue. I think he is going all the way hard in on. He's going to have people come out who are going to invigorate the base and who are going to bring new voters in. And Vivek and Senator Scott both do that. They reach out to different demographics. They're both going to be good choices as VP candidates. As we've all discussed, I think there's an affinity on this team for Vivek at the moment, but do not discount Senator Scott and his way to just jump up on stage and then also bring home the voters that Nikki Haley can't. I think if you look at the polling that you'll see come out of South Carolina, he'll do better with suburban housewives than Nikki Haley would any day of the week. Nikki Haley is just
Donald Trump
falsely
would?
flat. Not Donald Trump per se, exactly, but having Senator Tim Scott there, he just snatches those types of people away from Nikki Haley. There's no room for her to wiggle. She's not going to get this little bump from Democrats. And if you look at this, results, it has stayed at 55% all night. And you know what? Everyone was wondering, are Ron DeSantis people going to vote for Nikki Haley? I can tell you one thing. I have never met a Ron DeSantis voter who voted for Nikki Haley. I think you've got basically Democrats switching over. It's all going to end when she gets to South Carolina. Trump has put together a coalition there of every senator, sitting governor, every leader in that state is going for him. She has no wiggle room. She's stuck in the mud and she knows it. And I think it's something you were asking earlier. Is she dead after this? Yeah, she's dead. You cannot lose your home state and continue on in politics. That is the death knell for anyone.
So Donald Trump, just a little note to Nikki, you are not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. Little stuff she doesn't want to talk about. Now, Vivek, I don't think that would be happening at all because Vivek is perfect. Huh? This is the quote from Donald Trump. Vivek is perfect. What do you make of that, Danny?
I think that says a lot about where his mind's at. He's been mentioning Vivek a lot during his speeches. He's very front of mind right now. And again, we're seeing how they work together. But I don't know. It's looking good for Vivek. I think ALX is calling it right here. I think Vivek has a really good shot right now at being Trump's VP. Just seeing where the cards are right now, Trump is really liking Vivek. You can just see it, body language and all. It's just there.
So we've obviously done a bit of content with Vivek, hung out with him, consider him a friend. And I can tell you this, man, it's hard to hide your inauthentic. If you are an inauthentic person and you are a liar, it's hard to hide that when you're fully embedded with somebody and you're like traveling with them for multiple days. And like that dude like actually cared about the Republican base. Like he really does. He really like listened to people and had these like heartfelt interactions with them on the trail. Like they knew him, like he was like part of their family. Like he's gone over and had dinner at their house. And he also listened to the base when it came to us. We view ourselves on this show as emissaries for you, for the people who are actually who actually make up the Republican Party, right? There is no Republican Party without us. And we're simple conservatives, simple Republicans. And when we got a chance to advise Vivek before a debate, he literally listened to everything we said and then went out on stage and did it. And like flamed Rana and flamed the moderators and said Tucker Carlson should be moderating this debate. And the whole place went lit on fire, right? Set ablaze. And that's what it took. And while, some people try to compliment this team, and, I love this team, I'll talk up this team, but actually we've been giving this advice for free to anyone who will listen. It's just like Vivek was the first guy to listen. And there's something to that. There's something special about that.
Yeah, that's 100% correct because they have all of these advisors that they pay around them. And for, him to take free advice, basically, and good advice at that, and have it be like the most viral thing, that's the thing too. You quite literally called it. You said that's all everyone's going to talk about, and you're going to set the tone for the entire debate for the rest of the night, just on that opening statement. And that's all the internet was talking about the entire night. Sucked the oxygen out of every single candidate.
Bro, Nikki Haley went on some podcast that nobody listens to, in some consultant class, establishment, DC, cucked podcast, and was like, Vivek has a woman problem after that. We got in their heads.
Yeah, exactly.
We got in their heads.
Exactly.
Danny says that Vivek is in Trump's head. Danny says that Vivek is top of mind. We have a clip of Glenn Beck saying that Donald Trump keeps being advised to pick Vivek as his vice president. So Donald Trump's clearly doing an apprenticeship thing here. Now, you'll note, you've probably watched many Donald Trump speeches, as we have, and I want to go to Robbie to comment on this clip. But, dude, this is not normal. This is not normal. Donald Trump isn't, like, stopping his speeches to do big-time introductions for people and let other people go up and take the mics, right? With these, like, very flowery introductions. But lo and behold, in multiple speeches over the last 48 hours, Donald Trump has done this to one person, Vivek. Here's what happened moments ago. Here's Vivek's 60 seconds.
Vivek.
What we saw tonight is America first defeating America last. That's what we saw tonight. If you want America last, you can go to Joe Biden. You got another candidate still apparently in the Republican primary. Cut your Social Security to fork over more money to Ukraine so some kleptocrat can buy a bigger house. Go to Nikki Haley. But you know who delivered a double-digit victory tonight? It is a double-digit victory as of right now. Is this man, Donald J. Trump, the leader of America First. And that means something. Now, USA and Donald Trump, America First. Now, I got 30 seconds left. I want to make this point here, okay? We got to say this right. What we see right now with her continuing in this race is the ugly underbelly of American politics, where the mega donors are trying to do one thing when we, the people, say another. And it's up to us, we, the people, to at long last say, hell no. We, the people, create a government that is accountable to us. And we, the people, have said tonight, we want, again, as we did in Iowa, Donald J. Trump. And so you want to actually speak truth. That's the truth tonight. And the only thing they're rooting for is an ugly thing that we don't want to see happen. That's what these people are rooting for, is playing to say long enough so the Reid Hoffmans and the ugly Democratic George Soros Jr.'s who are funding the lawsuits against Trump can prop up their puppet. We say no to that vision. I say the general election begins tonight, and this man will win it in a landslide. God bless you, Donald J. Trump. Vote Trump USA.
Vote Trump USA. That should be remixed and turned into an absolute banger. Robbie, like, this does absolutely seem like The Apprentice in real life.
I mean, look at him. Look at him on stage. When Trump picks someone, it's because they mimic or they reflect what Trump values. And what does Trump value? Trump values someone who is well-spoken. Trump values someone who can get on social media and spread a message. Trump values people who listen. And I think if you look at Vivek, you have a candidate who was fresh, unseasoned, and went out there, didn't know how to play the game, and played it his way and got from 0% to, what was it, around 8-9% in Iowa? I mean, that's unbelievable for someone who's never been in politics, who's not even 40 years old. Vivek went in and changed the game. And we're talking about having a next generation of leaders. And President Trump is grooming Vivek to be the next head of MAGA. It's that simple.
Well, you can't have the continuation of the movement without young blood and without people that actually believe in the movement passing that baton on. We've learned the hard lesson with Mike Pence. Danny, you were laughing probably the hardest at this clip. This never underestimate Tim Scott's ability to be incredibly awkward. Tim Scott grabbed the mic away from Donald Trump at one point in this speech and did this.
Did you ever think that she actually appointed you, Tim? And think of it, appointed, and you're the senator of his state, and she endorsed me. You must really hate her. No, it's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician.
Danny, your thoughts on that moment?
He just looked uncomfortable in the back, kind of like squirming around the camera to get into the tight shot as Trump was speaking. And I mean, honestly, if you could just sense like the comparison between how him and how Trump and Vivek get along, and then how Trump and Tim Scott get along, it's totally different. After Vivek spoke, he went over to Trump and just clapped him up, gave him a big high five. And then you're looking at this, and it's a little different. It's a little more awkward, a little more political. Trump even went as far as to call him a politician for saying that, for not bashing Nikki Haley on stage. I think the energy is with Vivek right now, and that clip was very, very uncomfortable to watch.
So ALX for the for the show in the morning. ALX is the executive producer that helps us put together our morning show, our Benny Show podcast in the morning, live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every morning. This is a good one. Got to have this in the show. Apparently, Joe Biden won in New Hampshire, and he wasn't even awake at the White House. Here's Peter Ducey.
And remarkably, just as you were coming to us, his team in Wilmington, the campaign team, put out a statement. It has nothing to do with his successful write-in campaign in New Hampshire, his first win this cycle. Instead, it's just about Trump. The campaign manager says tonight's results confirm Donald Trump has all but locked up the GOP nomination, and the election-denying anti-freedom MAGA movement has completed its takeover of the Republican Party.
So,
wow,
Joe Biden not even at the White House, and I think not awake. So,
I think that speaks for his presidency. That's basically been his entire presidency, been traveling, been on vacation, been asleep at key moments. And it seems like they're singing glowing praise about the MAGA movement, and they've completed the takeover of the Republican Party. I mean, it's music to my ears. So I welcome that statement. And they're less delusional than Nikki Haley, actually. So whatever.
To some degree, it almost sounds like the Nikki Haley campaign and the Biden campaign are sharing consultants. I mean, that statement almost read like a Nikki Haley statement, sort of bashing the MAGA movement any chance they get.
That's exactly right.
To watch.
And this, to that point, Danny, that you just made, 70% of Nikki Haley voters in New Hampshire were not registered Republicans, according to an exit poll.
You know how they got that number? Because the first thing they said when they walked out is they just gave their pronouns, and then they just said that that's got to be a Democrat. I saw the comments were saying Nikki Haley uses her pronouns, which I thought was great. Nikki Haley has pronouns.
There's somebody who can't even remember, much less pronouns, but who's president right now, and that's Nancy Pelosi. We got one final clip here that's just so funny. Robbie just found this of Nancy Pelosi being unable to get her words together, keep her dentures in her mouth. Too many, like it's way too late. It's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is like 40 martinis in, very dry martinis in the commemorative January 6th martini glasses in Nancy Pelosi's office. Nancy Pelosi did a live hit, and it was a train wreck. And well, this is what we're fighting if you need some cold comfort.
Well, let me just say I'm not going to spend too much time on Donald Trump's cognitive disorders. But what I am going to say, and I want to, in friendship, say to Chris, he tried to say that Nikki Haley did not allow the National Guard to come, but it was Nancy Pelosi. It was nobody. It was Donald Trump. Well,
she almost said Joe Biden. She almost said Joe Biden. It was Joe. L.
Why is she panting?
It's that dry mouth you get after.
All right, boys. All right. Here we go. Let's do a couple super chats real fast. Joan Smith, thank you. God bless you. Super sticker. Joseph Brown, let's go Trump from Canada. Whoa, Joseph. Move to the States. Become a voter. Mark Owens.
Regime change.
Tucker Carlson's going up to Canada for regime change. Mark Owens, that's a very based Avi, man. Democrats have no shame, says Daniel Lanau. Danny, your comments on that?
Facts are, that is correct.
Look at this bird brain emojis. From Derek Watchman 77. Derek, that's great. We'll use that in the show headline tomorrow. Bird brain. We got all the bird emojis plus a brain. Just like Hillary. Fact check through ALX, just like Hillary?
Yeah, just like Hillary.
Thank you, Benny. Trump 2024 says Cynthia Sanchez. We say God bless you, Cynthia. Thank you. Yes, and Trump 2024. Mino, the uses of the Emergency Act by Justin Trudeau has just been ruled as illegal. Federal court judge. Hope you give all your input on that. MAGA from Quebec. Guys! Mino, MAGA from Quebec.
Another Canada.
Tucker Carlson going up to Canada to liberate. We were just with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker was very, very excited for a trip through Canada. He's doing 3 or 4 speeches in Canada and then some reporting on Canadian politics. So expect that. We send all of our blessings and energy from the States. Although for this election, we will be staying stateside. There's just too much happening here in this country. But God bless you in Canada. So many patriots up there. Benny, could you please give a shout out to my good friend, Tony Grady, says Jake Miguel. Tony Grady is running for Republican Senate this year for the state of Nevada. He's a good man. Yes, absolutely. For Republican Senate this year. ALX, can you look into that candidacy? Maybe we can book him on the show.
Sure.
You know, we'll see. There's a veteran, first name Sam. I can't remember what his last name is. Sam Brown? Anyway, he's running in, I think he's announced his candidacy in Nevada, but I don't pay as close of attention here, and there we go. Okay. Tony Grady. You know what, Jake? Just for you, we will put up, there's his Tony Grady's website right here. He's running for U.S. Senate, tried, tested, and trusted. And guy looks super based. Hey, he's done a bunch of news hits. Let's book him on the show, man. Jake Miguel, look at this. This is how you make it happen, baby. Okay, Dino Rick. The next one in South Carolina on February 3rd, not Nevada. Is that correct? Robbie?
No.
ALX? I mean, am I wrong? I mean, if I'm wrong.
No,
is Nevada not the next one?
Nevada caucus is next.
Nevada is the 8th.
February 8th.
Yeah, and South Carolina is what, the 22nd?
There we go. The producers would know.
24th.
Thomas Walter said, look at Dixville County. It's talking about Dixville Knox. 100% for Haley seems sus. The reason that is that way, Thomas, is because Dixville Notch is the name of this one little town that gets this, for some reason, it's 6 people in the town. And 100% for Haley means all those 6 people voted for Nikki Haley. Now, that is sus. There's all these allegations that those people get paid off and stuff and get special visits from the campaigns and things in order to sway their votes. But it's just one of those quirky local traditions. And that's why Nikki Haley got 100%, because she got 6 people to vote for her. Meanwhile, the map actually, Thomas, looks like this. With Donald Trump above 10-point margin of victory, in spite of all the Democrats voting for Nikki Haley.
And I just checked, February 3rd is the Democrat primary in South Carolina, so I think that's what the chatter was referring to.
Got it.
But not Republican.
Just a girl with her dope Trump hat and a super sticker. Thank you, Just a Girl. Hope you're wearing that hat right now. Got to update it 2024, baby. Nikki's husband is Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, says bend over. Okay. I can't comment on that. I don't think so. I mean, I got all my fact checkers on screen right now. I don't think technically it is, but Royce is cracking up in the studio here. This is the first time Royce actually doubled over with laughter tonight. She's trying to bait Donald Trump into attacking her so she can play victim and win the female vote. I don't think he will fall for it. That's very interesting. All gas, no brakes. What do you think, Danny?
I think that's accurate. You even saw she's more aligned with Joy Reid on MSNBC, saying that she can't win because she's, quote, a brown lady. And so when your talking points align with MSNBC, it's very hard to argue that you're messaging to a Republican base versus a Democrat base.
Cards 93 says, did you see the audio of Carrie Lake being bribed? by a guy named Jeff. That's the head of the Republican Party there in Arizona. Said they kill and steal elections. Please do a video on it. It's disturbing. ALX, Benny BTFO'd. We didn't get a chance to get to this video today because we had to do the studio swap, actually. But trust me, Cards93, we will be doing this video. Alex, do you have any updates on this? You were like the guy who broke the story.
Yeah, we were the first ones to post the video clipped up. What it was, and it totally vindicates what Carrie Lake said on our show in the arena, actually, that somebody approached her and tried to bribe her. They basically said to name their price for her to not run for Senate and to, take a pause of 2 years to basically, get her out of there. And they basically wanted her to not publicly support Trump. And she, basically said that they'd have to kill her in order to get her out of politics. And then at the end, the guy basically said, please don't tell anyone we talked. And she's like, you should blow the whistle on it. And he's like, no, because then I'll turn my key and I'll go boom. Basically that he was in fear of his life. So it's a pretty wild 9-minute audio that was released. So yeah.
Wild stuff, and we will cover. Mark Owens saying Trump needs the black vote. He has to pick Vivek. Danny, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like Vivek. Vivek would Vivek would close the gaps in many different regards. And I think we're seeing very positive swings in the black community for Trump. And so when you're talking about the youth vote, talking about the black vote, I think Vivek would help bridge a lot of those gaps. So yeah.
Ooh, ALX, one of our favorites. Ronna McDaniel, also a problem. She has to step down. You see any chance of that happening? Says Frankie Lowe, publicly announcing the primary should be discontinued. All the same reasons Trump has stated, effectively saying that Ronna McDaniel is horrible.
Yeah, so one of the most interesting things I think that might come out of Vivek if he's selected as VP, if he has any impact on Trump's opinion of Ronna McDaniel. So
yeah,
we'll have to see if, he has some pull there.
Super interesting point. That is actually, because Vivek is super anti-Ronna. I don't think Trump likes Ronna at all either. Trump was this close to calling for her resignation. He hit her, didn't he?
Yeah.
Filipinos for Trump, Nevada for Trump, conservative Phil Ames leading the way. God, family, country. Deus Vult. Mitch Lozada seems incredibly based, and we agree. Baseball King says Vivek has the balls that we need. Well, Baseball King would know something about that. Trump needs someone that can communicate a message. Blue collar guy from Pittsburgh. These are people I relate to. Well, all right. Hey, blue collar guy from Pittsburgh. Vivek lives in Ohio. Not too far from you, actually. I'm not sure I would classify him as blue collar. I don't know how he grew up. I haven't asked. Does anybody know Vivek's upbringing?
I do not know.
Okay. Bird brain brappers. Nikki stinks. Get great meme gang. Mem gang. Okay, well, thank you. Bird brain does have brappers. Ohio for Trump. Never Nikki Icky. Trump strong, says Randy. Watch out. The deplorable redneck billies are coming out. And I'm proud, says Deepa. Think there's going to be a lot of those redneck billies. And we intend on going to South Carolina, don't we, Robbie?
Yes, we do.
MAGA from Australia. It's worldwide, baby. It's worldwide. It's so cool. The first couple comments are from Australia and Canada. Add Trump to Mount Rushmore, Trump and Vivek. Vivek 2024. Everyone on the campaign is going to have to learn how to say his name. The correct pronunciation is Vivek. Ron Swamy. How does Trump like to say it, Danny?
Ramaswamy or something. I don't know. It sounds like he's ordering at a Greek spot.
Just T, we just say thank you. No comments. MAGA from New Zealand. Look at it go. Look at us go. It's incredible. Nancy Pelosi has an olive stuck in her throat from her martini. Well, there you go.
Definitely blue cheese stuffed.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So many jokes to be made about that. But we can't do that, okay? Nancy Pelosi, we're going to be polite to Nancy Pelosi. She was clearly in that clip hammered, just like Paul. God bless you, Benny, and your team. Keep up the good work. Well, God bless you back. We say thank you very, very much. And you know what? We're here for the base. We're here for you. Hello, people. I know you, Benny, brought up RFK Jr. How come you didn't talk about third-party candidates and independent candidates such as Cornel West and Jill Stein? Interestingly enough, we have some third-party candidates that are reaching out to us right now, and we intend on bringing on the show. ALX and I had this conversation before we went live tonight. So we plan on doing that, actually, and we look forward to it. It's our responsibility to do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're all for bringing more people into the America First movement. And if you can put this country first, then we'll absolutely have you on the show. If you're a communist, we'll have you on the show just to make fun of you, too. The base bench for VP is deep. So many options for Trump. Tucker and Vivek are my favorites. Glad to see a good future for the party. Patriots stand up. Well, thank you, Matthew Moore. You're right. There is a deep bench. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Benny Brigade, love your show. Love your commentary. Keep bringing the truth from Michigan, says Mike Haraf. We love you back, Mike. Thank you. The Benny Brigade marches onward strongly. Trump is just too good. He has a swamp creatures running scared, says Joe England. No word on if Joe is from England or New England, or if that's Joe, if that's your name. But you're exactly right. They are running scared. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do one or two more here. Ryan Wilson says we should not play into the narratives of the rhinos are trying to create. Call it out and smile the whole way. Continue on the path, Patriots. They can't stop a happy warrior. An army of happy warriors they cannot defeat. So remain cheerful. It is actually disheartening to see a bunch of like grumpy people standing around crying and being sad. The left isn't even happy in victory. The left has like controlled everything in this country. Every Fortune 500 company, every law firm, every educational institution, every news company, every social media platform, and virtually unified control of government. And are they happier? Exactly? Like, for real. Like, ask yourself, you know a lib? Like, are the libs happier? Danny, are libs happy on your campus?
They are the most miserable people you will ever come across. No.
Shout out to the panel, Jesse T. Thank you, Jesse. Do you have like a 50 cal mounted on like a Chevy Malibu? What's going on? What's going on here, Jesse? That looks like incredibly based. So awesome.
That's a salty brigade right there.
Yeah, that is super salty. All right. Let's go Pikachu. I know everyone is talking about Trump, Sleepy Joe. Some of my coworkers are talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know much about the person. I was wondering if you could tell me your opinion on that person. ALX, you've had some interactions online with RFK Jr. Know a lot of people who know him and think very highly of him in your circles. What's your thoughts?
I think that he's a pretty genuine guy, it seems, from like people that met him. And it's funny. So my family was originally like Kennedy Democrats, so they're big fans of Kennedy's. I mean, I've never met him in person, but he's quoted a bunch of our content on COVID.
I think we lost you there.
We lost you, ALX. We lost you, buddy. I'm sorry.
My AirPod fell out. That's
there you go.
Anyway, but yeah, so on COVID accountability and, censorship and stuff. He's done, spaces with Elon on that. So those are kind of where we overlap, I think. But then I know he has like kind of a past on like climate stuff is where, he probably doesn't agree with the right on.
He is a bit of a climate cultist, which would be scary. All right, boys, last question, last super chat. Here we go, the failed wizard. I love Tim Scott, but my wife says he is a literal thumb. Thoughts? The great American panel here.
Tim Scott's nice. I mean, I just don't think he's.
Is he a thumb?
Right.
Nope. Is he a thumb, ALX? Is he actually a thumb masquerading as in human form?
I refuse to comment on if he's a thumb or not. Anyway, I just don't think he's the right guy for VP. That's just my opinion.
Danny, you don't hold back in your commentary about Tim Scott. What's your thoughts?
I don't think it's a very nice thing to say about Pastor Tim Scott. I mean, every time he comes up on stage, he does this like pastor bit that's like the most hilarious thing. But he comes on, and every time he speaks, in my mind, I'm just hearing like that church like organ music starts playing. And I don't know, Tim Scott's entertaining. I'll give you that. But the most entertaining outcome in this scenario, I think, is Vivek. So hopefully that's the most likely.
That's exactly right. Well, hopefully that is the most likely. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to just say again, thank you. We absolutely love doing this program. We love having this community come together and enjoy these moments together. And more importantly, and most importantly, to let you know that you're not alone, right? That's what this humor is about. That's what this program is about. And I know it seems a little cheeky, but it's important to know that there are people in this country that believe the same thing you believe. We are living through the world's greatest psyop, the world's greatest mass formation psychosis to like try and brainwash you into thinking you're the only one with common sense. You're the only person that believes like maybe what your grandparents believed and that kind of still love this place. And you're not the only one. You are one of hundreds of millions of people that actually want to save and preserve this place. And the thing they're the most scared about is that all of us unite and are happy, joyful warriors and march forward. That we laugh at memes like this. This was just posted by Dan Scavino. And that we join forces together and create together, which is why we're so thankful and honored to have to serve you in that way. Our entire team here, other people that are on that you can't see, like Rolls Royce, Eric and Ashley and Jerry, who makes some of these incredible memes, David and Avery, like the entire team here. It's amazing how big the team has actually gotten at this company. We show up every single day to ensure that we all know that we're not fighting alone. And we are happy warriors in our work, and we hope that you join us. You cannot defeat an army of happy warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, to kick off this, at the ending of this beautiful night, we have one final meme for you. It is the bird brain meme that was created, again, by our meme master, in-house meme master, the great Jerry. Ladies and gentlemen, from all of us, a big wave, a sign-off, and a thank you. We will see you in the morning. See ya.
What makes you think you can win?
I have to win or my donors will destroy my Warhawk enterprise. And why did you have to go and call me a bird brain?
He called me DeSanctimonious for a really long time.
That's fine heels.
You're a neocon, Nikki. You simp for globalists, open borders, and illegal immigration. And
My brown people are not illegal.
That is why you are bird brain.
That's enough, Boots.